It does not look at all like I should be visible in that camera's lens.
Oh no!
And I did like a test run with it earlier, and it's like you can see the whole wall behind me. You can see all the flyers. You can see
like, what the fuck?
Like, holy shit, dude! It's not even pointed at me at all. It's pointed right at you.
Yeah.
So wild. Anyways, but yeah. So that one's going. That one's going. The audio's going. Fuck it. Let's see. What did I do first? I did the cameras. So the cameras were recording first on this one, actually. So 3, 2, 1, go. All right. So what's up, man?
What's up, man?
It has been a while since I've been in this room, and you've never been in the room before. So
I have not.
Kind of somewhat re-inaugural, structurally sound, questionable content podcast. So,
questionable content. For sure.
Exactly, yeah, because this is going to be like super off the cuff and kind of just like raw and kind of like getting back into this thing. So, I'm sitting in the room with Chris Bucher.
Yes.
Bucher, okay.
Yep.
Now, why is it not Chris Bucher? Because in every other instance of somebody that has that spelling, and I remember this because Becca told me, so I was like, I'm pretty sure it's Bucher, but. Well, because then everyone else, like I know a guy whose name is Ian Boucher, and it's spelled exactly the same way.
Yeah.
So why is yours pronounced Bucher and the other one is Boucher?
So traditionally, my name would have had I believe they call it an umlaut. It's 3 dots above the U.
Okay.
So it makes it oo.
Okay.
And then CH and then er. I actually, I had a substitute math teacher. She's like Boucher. And I was like, yeah. She's like, is that how you pronounce it? And I was like, well, it's Bucher. She's like, nah, it's Boucher.
Really?
I'm like,
really?
You gonna tell me my own name, girl? Like, what the fuck? So she's like, yeah, it's French. And I was like, bro, I don't have any part of French in me. I'm like, I'm part German, which makes sense. But like,
that's So and yours doesn't have the umlaut, right?
I mean, traditionally
like,
it would, but like
through American translation, I'm sure like over the years, it just kind of goes
like,
away.
The redneck came down and just apostrophes and just commas and periods.
Just America'd the shit out of it, man. Yeah. So what is like the traditional way of saying it? Is it Bucher? It is, really? Mm-hmm. So how did it get transformed into this Boucher thing? Just through weird world translationary
I mean,
shit?
I guess technically, like, I don't know that much about the French language, but I would assume Boucher would just be the Bucher, and the R would maybe be silent, or the E would have the tilde.
The tilde, okay, that thing, right? Tilde.
So that would
did you know all the? You even know all like the names for all the little expressions and stuff?
I've had to explain it 1,000 times, bro. I got it down.
I guess that's the territory you come into with that kind of name. Has anyone ever else like? Do other people ask you about that? Like, why isn't it Boucher?
Just the one math teacher. Like, other than that, like, when I was in football, they called me Bobby Boucher because I was about half worthless. So, they're like, oh, yeah, he can push a guy down, but that's about it. Why don't you go get some water or something? Like,
put him on the line and just call him when we need him, and then, he'll do the job, and then that's about it. So.
Oh, yeah.
Nice, man. So, so it's Chris Bucher, and he's not... Well, I mean, you are a musician. But you're not in any local bands or anything like that?
I'm not in the game now.
Not right now, but what is your what's your primary instrument that you like?
Well, I play guitar. I can play guitar and bass equally well. Mm-hmm. So like every band I ever played in the past, it was I can do either one, tell me where you want me.
Okay.
And it always ended up rhythm guitar.
Okay, cool.
So I would eventually like to get to the point where I could play lead, but God, dude, I haven't had the time to put in the practice.
Yeah, for sure. Because you're busy doing auto mechanicking, right?
Oh, God, dude, that's all I do with my life.
Yeah. Fair enough, man. Like, that's a super high demanding industry. Like, it's the more that I learn, like, the more that like as I go down the journey of learning shit about cars and working on cars, the more I appreciate, honestly, the plight of the auto mechanic, because there's some shit that it's just like. You go to tackle it on the car, and it's like, man, there's just no way I can do this on my own, or like,
I mean, being in the auto industry, it's easy. I mean, anybody who has a job, right? They're like, oh, my job is the most unappreciated job ever.
Sure, yeah,
right?
Why not? Yeah.
So it's like, I definitely feel that way in the mechanic industry, but then when you find out there's data to back it up,
sure,
you're like, holy shit, dude! Like in the past, let me see. Mechanics haven't seen a pay raise or an average pay increase since the 70s.
Really?
Which, with inflation, sucks.
Since the 70s?
Yeah.
Wow. Really?
So, like, the average tech in the 70s would make, if he was getting paid hourly, he'd make like 15 to 20, right?
Damn.
If he was making a flat rate, it was like 25 to 30.
Dude, and in the 70s,
that was a lot of money.
You're crushing, for sure.
So, like, now, still making that amount of money.
Wow.
Which, like, isn't bad. I mean, you can make a living, but it's nothing like it would have been in the 70s.
I mean, you can make a living on that for sure, but we're right at the threshold right now where it's getting to the point where, $15 to $17 to $18 an hour is, like, just barely livable.
Oh, yeah.
So, like you said, if their rate doesn't increase with inflation after this point, it's kind of like an unlivable industry.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I've had techs who have started... Right, and I mean, anytime you start at a shop, right? Because it's one of those you can have all the paperwork to back it up,
but until you get in there with a set of wrenches and
books and paperwork doesn't show what your hands can do.
Right. Okay.
So we've had techs come in and they get a job and they always start them off low, right? For the first 30 days, just see what they can do.
Okay.
If they start fucking shit up all the time, then it's time to can them, get them out.
Start them off low, like pay wise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I mean, we'd have a tech come in for like $16 an hour. And, the boss man be like, well, you have good potential. You're still learning. I want to keep you there for another 30 days.
With that low pay raise, sorry to interrupt you, but with that low pay or that low like introductory pay, do they also keep you on jobs that like are kind of lower, what do I want to say, like lower capacity jobs almost, like oil changes and coolant flushes and like things like that?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. You do kind of introductory level work with the introductory level pay, right?
Yeah. And I mean, there's some techs like, techs who have 20 years experience, they're not going to have
Probably not going to start out with that. Okay.
Professionally, I've been in the game for 7 years, started off at this shop here in town, and hey man, do this oil change.
Yeah.
But it was a Mercedes.
Okay.
So he's like, well, like, it's kind of a pain in the ass. Like, if he doesn't fuck this up, then we'll give him brakes or whatever.
Okay.
And, it's funny because I went into the interview and I was showing him pictures of the diesel that I had the body pulled off of doing heads on. And so like, he knows I'm capable of the work.
Sure.
But he's like, we got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Work up from there and your pay will follow.
Okay.
But we've had techs come in and start, $16 an hour. And then they, like, realize... They're like, well, fuck, dude. I could go work at Domino's as a delivery driver for $12 an hour, make tips,
plus tips,
and make the same amount
mileage.
of money.
I think they still pay a mileage too, so you're getting $1 something per mile, also.
Yeah, so they're like,
no, maybe it's not that much, but you're still getting some amount. It's some cents per mile too.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're getting all that.
So it's like, why would I come to a place that I have to provide my own tools, which costs a lot of money?
Yeah,
get paid the same. And just break my body every day when I can do something easier.
Way more liable because I mean that's people's cars that you're working on.
Yeah.
That's how people get to work, and
Well, not to mention people's lives. Like,
you're way more liable for that kind of thing. Whereas, delivering a pizza, the worst thing that happens is they call and complain about a pizza, and you take them another one, or you refund them their money. So yeah,
absolutely.
I delivered pizza for for 3 years almost. I think I worked for Domino's for I think a couple years delivering pizza and. Seriously, man, there are nights like you make a shitload of money. There were nights I walked away from Domino's with $150-$160 cash in my pocket.
Yeah.
And after putting gas in my car and refilling it, it was like, okay, I still have $120. Like,
yeah.
That's fucking legit for
right?
for literally just sitting in my car listening to music and driving people their food. Like, pretty fucking easy money.
Oh yeah.
So it totally makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, that's why like I totally respect that. Like there's just some things, man. There's just some things on vehicles that you can do. I'll vouch. You can do anything that you want on a vehicle yourself. You can do it.
You can.
You can get it in the driveway. You can put it on the ramps. You can put it on the jack stands, and you can fucking do it. But that's just it, man. It's just like with anything. You pay for the convenience. You pay for the knowledge of the people that are doing it, and just like I found out recently, you also pay for the insurance that comes with the work that's getting done.
Absolutely.
Like, yeah. So that's a huge reason to like if it's a big fucking job, man, just take it to somebody.
Take it to a shop.
Seriously, just fucking take it to a shop. Chances are you're gonna get more than what you actually need because after they dig into it, they usually find shit.
Yeah.
And little things like, hey, you need these gaskets, you need these O-rings, so we'll just go ahead and throw all that in since we're already there.
We're right here. Yeah. And I mean the other thing too is like a lot of people who, like, let's say a guy who works construction. Sure, he's got tools, but not the tools to work on a car. You know what I mean?
Sure.
He may have some stuff, but, like, people who do this for a living, like, I have $40,000 in tools.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's really nothing compared to some of the guys who've been in it for 20, 30 years.
Sure. But a lot of those tools are like specialty tools that help you get a lot of the jobs done way faster, right?
I mean, time is money.
I've seen these like slimline, like automatic wrenches. Where they're made by like Milwaukee and shit, where it's just like a tower and it's got a squeeze handle on it, and it's like a socket wrench, and it's just and you can just take bolts, and it's like super slimline, so you can get down inside of stuff and just they're super expensive.
That's one of the things I think they dropped last year at SEMA.
Okay.
And they just came for sale this year.
Okay.
And so I haven't had a chance to check one of those out yet. But I will say Milwaukee is stepping up their game big time.
Really?
When it comes to automotive tools, yeah.
Okay.
I'm actually giving away on my TikTok, once we reach 50K followers, I'm giving away my 1/2-inch Snap-on electric impact.
Okay.
And
see, like he's like famous on TikTok and shit.
I'm not famous yet.
He's all on there giving shit away.
There.
Like, I'm just gonna give away awesome tools on my TikTok. No big deal.
I mean, it's old and busted. Like, it works, but
hey, man. I mean, one man's trash, right? Like,
right.
And it's not even trash. It's good.
It's
good
beat
shit.
up. I had it rebuilt a year ago, but God, you can tell I've used it every day. Like,
hey, man, a good tool is a good tool, right?
That's it.
What is your TikTok handle? We need to talk about that. We talked about that in the kitchen, but I said I wanted to re-bring it up in the podcast, just so everyone kind of, because last I knew, TikTok was there's I get off on a lot of weird tangents. Everyone fucking knows that. All my 6 followers know that.
Right.
But last I knew about the TikTok world was that Trump was going to shut, and this was like late September, I think. And then I went out of town on vacation for half a month, so I was checked out. I was checked out for a half a month. But last I knew, Trump was going to shut down TikTok in late September if they didn't make a deal to sign over to an American company or something like that, right?
Yeah. So, there's a lot more politics that go into it than
that's the super headline version of what's actually going on, right?
So, I mean, Trump and China were kind of going back and forth on just trade deals and stuff. And, the one good thing that he was saying, because we've been getting screwed over by China for a long time.
Yeah.
Right? So, we need to have equal trade for equal trade. And it hasn't been that way for years.
Screwed over how? Because I'm pretty dumb when it comes to this kind of overseas international politics and stuff like that. So
to bring it way simple, right?
Yeah.
So let's say we export something over there that's worth $100, right? Well, they give us something that's worth like $10.
Okay.
So it's like the trade is really uneven, right? Like we're giving away way more than what we're taking in.
Sure. Okay.
So, Trump kind of basically said, dude, we're not doing this. We either need equal trade or a better trade because you guys have been screwing us for years.
And that was the trade deal thing that was going on. Wasn't that last year or something like that? Or maybe the year before?
2 years ago, something like it. They kind of been working on it a while.
You get older, and before you know it, man, the years just start fucking going and going.
Dude, for real.
Anyways, So a few years ago, he was getting pissed off about the trade deal.
Yeah. So basically, China was just like, "Well, no, we're not going to do it." And then Trump's like, "Okay, cool, fuck you guys. We're not
going to trade with you.
It's not going to be fair. We're not going to do it."
Yeah.
So, not that trading has ceased with China, but it's very different than what it used to be.
Okay. There's new tariffs in place, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm being as political as I can here. I don't know. I'm pulling terms out of the air and wait a minute. I think this relates to that.
It relates.
I'm pretty sure.
I don't pay attention enough to just know all the details. So I'm like, oh, okay, yeah.
I stay just uninvolved enough to play the I'm kind of stupid card.
Yeah.
I know enough to keep myself informed, but I don't know anything at the same time, which I feel like is a pretty good place to be in.
That's fair. So basically, Trump's just pissed off with China, and China is extremely pissed off with the U.S.
Okay.
So, TikTok takes off, right, during COVID because nobody has anything better to do.
Everyone's at home, and it's the easiest platform to get yourself
it's
out there
and the cool thing about TikTok over, YouTube and Facebook and all that is, as Americans, we have developed a really short attention span.
Uh-huh.
We have to be entertained within the first, and especially, I learned this being in a band.
Yep.
Your hook or you need to start singing. If your intro is longer than 20 seconds,
Oh yeah,
you're fucking up.
oh, it's so much shorter
Like-
than that nowadays too. It's like the first,
Yeah.
if it's like the first 6 seconds. Within the first 6 seconds, if you haven't done something that's like ear catching or like hooky,
Yeah.
then you're
Forget it.
that
You've
song's,
lost 'em.
Yep, you lost them.
Yeah. So
Crazy.
So TikTok, the max, I guess the longest video you can make is a minute.
Oh, okay, 60
So-
second clips.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
super easy
Yep.
to sit there and like next thing you know, you're 3 hours in. You're like, holy fuck, dude, where's my
Right.
day gone? But
And is it in like a? Is it because I don't have it. I don't know anything about it. So is it in like a stream format, kind of like Facebook and Twitter and stuff, where you just
kind
like
of
you scroll
yeah,
through a
like
thing?
you start off and like you open the app and it'll just start playing a video, right?
Okay,
You want to go to the next video, just scroll down.
okay, I got you.
And
So it's just
so-
it's a feed of videos basically. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Are there statuses that go along with them? Can you tag them like with stuff? Or
Yeah,
is it-
yeah.
Okay.
Which
All right.
actually, like, when it comes to that platform, hashtags are definitely help you with view. I mean, just like YouTube and Facebook and
Sure.
Instagram
Yeah.
and anything
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
Depending on where you fall in the algorithm. So, like, there's some people who have, like, 1 million followers. They put, like, one hashtag. Like, basically, their account just rides the algorithm because TikTok knows.
Right.
Like,
They have
this guy's
they have
making
those views.
content.
Right.
Like,
So they don't need to tag super heavily.
Yeah,
But,
no.
Yeah. But that's the kind of the key of getting into the audience is
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
hashtagging.
for
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
So, Trump's pissed off at China. China's pissed off at us. So then this app takes off. China's making all sorts of fucking money off the U.S.
Because they own the parent company,
They own the parent company.
which is Bit something.
ByteDance.
ByteDance. Mm-hmm. Okay, ByteDance. All right.
So, they do have an American office that the CFO lives in California.
Okay.
But their data banks are also in California.
Okay.
But what he's concerned about is China saying, hey, we need the data off those data banks, and he has to send it because he's employed by them,
Oh, I see.
which is against the law anyway.
Okay.
But
Being employed by a company overseas is against the law, or
no.
sending
Transferring
the
files.
data is against
So, like,
the law.
the whole reason they have the servers in the U.S. to run the U.S. portion is because you can't have servers in another country. So, like, Mexico has their own servers. Canada
Okay.
has their own
Sure.
servers. So,
Okay.
like,
All right. That makes sense.
so it would be illegal of China to ask for the information off those servers.
Oh, and that's okay, and that's why they haven't. I was just gonna say, well, then
Yeah.
why haven't they asked for it yet? But
Yeah.
that's why is
Because
that
it's
would
not
be
legal.
Okay, and that's the only standard that we have that's holding all that information from the parent company.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the only thing that they can really give them is pretty much anything else you could transfer to another company, like accounting documents and let's just say like analytics and stuff, like how many people have downloaded the app, how many people are using, how many people have undownloaded the app.
Right.
I mean,
Okay.
they have access to all that information. That's fine.
Which makes sense because they have the development team and all that
Yeah.
stuff, right? So yeah. So that
you gotta
makes
have
sense.
somebody to like take care of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Trump says, well, this is a security risk. We can't trust it. We're going to ban it.
Yeah.
Well, then Microsoft says, well, hold on. If they're going to ban it, then we're going to buy it. So now it's a U.S. company. So they wanted to buy just the U.S. branch.
Right.
So now,
And that hasn't happened yet, has it? No one's actually bought it yet, right?
well, kind of, sort of, not really.
Okay.
So
Microsoft steps in, says we want to buy it.
yeah. So if Microsoft steps in and buys it, right, here's the deal. The guy in California whose boss is in China, his boss would now be in California at Microsoft.
Okay.
So there's no issue. If Microsoft wants information, they get it.
Right. Sure.
Here was the problem. Microsoft went to ByteDance. ByteDance said, yeah, we'll make a deal, right? So they were going to buy the app for $2 billion.
Oh shit.
Yeah. It's a big sum of money.
Wow.
So they write up the contract, whatever. Microsoft is reading the contract and realizes they're about to get fucked. So the contract basically states, we're going to sell you basically the rights to the name for $2 billion, but all of the like algorithm procedures and basically all the mechanics that you need to make the site run.
Right. They're keeping
We're
all
not
that.
going to sell it.
Okay.
They said, but you can buy it for another $2 billion.
All that stuff. So
Yeah.
you can have the shell for $2 billion.
Yeah.
And then you can have the guts for another $2 billion,
Yeah.
basically.
And Microsoft was like, no, dude, that's not what we agreed to.
Okay.
So they kind of fought back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then Trump said, hey, you have till Wednesday to make a deal. And
Right, that's what it was. I think it was a Tuesday
was.
or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like some weird middle of the week day. I remember that.
So Microsoft was like, no, dude, if you're going to be like this, fuck you guys. We're not going to do it.
Yeah.
So now everybody on TikTok that's making money is going, oh, fuck. Like,
Yeah. Because what's happening with all of our money now? Because this company might go under and like...
And I mean, with COVID, there was a lot of guys. I mean, there was a school teacher that I follow. He started getting a lot of views on TikTok and stuff, build up a good following. He had quite a bit of money. I mean, he's got like 2 million followers.
Oh, shit. Wow.
And that happened, and he had just quit his teaching job to just pursue
be a
making
TikToker,
content,
basically.
travel the world.
Wow,
Like,
what?
so now he's like, oh, shit, dude. I mean, basically would have ruined his life. I mean, he could have gone back to teaching. Like, they still would have given him a position and everything. But, so it was kind of a fucked up deal. So then there was like 2 or 3 other companies that came in, tried to buy it. The price was too high. They weren't about it. So I guess there's another company, and I can't remember the name of them. They're kind of a smaller, I don't know if they're a startup or if they just deal in a totally different realm or what the deal is.
Yeah.
But they actually wrote up a contract. Contract was signed, and now they're just like transferring
All the
ownership,
logistics and all that shit.
Yeah. So,
so someone actually did buy it.
Yeah.
So the contract has actually been signed. And what were wasn't there, again, I don't know all the fucking politics behind this shit, but wasn't there some sort of agreement that Trump said that China had to come to before he was going to allow an American company to buy it? I think it was something about, maybe we already talked about it, like the privacy sharing stuff, the data sharing thing.
Well, I mean, yeah, like I think basically the kind of gist of the deal was if you guys sell, you just got to be hands off.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Which, I mean, if you sell something, it's going to be like that anyway.
I mean, that sounds about right with any kind of property, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I could understand, like, I mean, Trump deals in real estate. That's his bread and butter.
Right.
And I'm sure that he's come across, like, companies that he's, okay, hey, man, we're going to, you own a building, we're going to rent out offices for you,
sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And then they want to have all this say and control in what goes on. He's like, well, look, dude, I'm trying to make you money. Like, you keep putting your hands in here and fucking it all up.
Yeah.
Like, I could understand where, from his experience, he's like, we need to put this clause in there. Otherwise, it's not going to work.
Yeah,
so
that kind of makes sense, yeah. Makes sense for terms of privacy and not data mining from Americans and things like that, Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Facebook knows everything about us anyway, so.
Yeah, right? Yeah, no shit, honestly. Like, if you need to find something out, man, you can find it on Facebook immediately.
Yeah. I mean, like, Apple, dude, I'm not kidding. I was just, and I'm sure this has happened to other people. I just have my iPhone in my pocket. I start talking about, what was it the other day? Oh, we were talking about Viper sunglasses. Have you seen those big ass, like, a lot of country people wear them. They make funny videos with them, whatever.
Probably have seen them, yeah.
So, we were talking about them. And all of a sudden, I'm scrolling through Facebook, and I keep seeing ads for them. I'm like, dude, fuck, bro, fucking, listening to me and shit.
Dude, I just, when I was up visiting my sister in Kellen in Idaho, my brother-in-law, Kellen, was actually talking my ear off one day. We went out and did some bouldering out, like, in this, he knows of this, like, rock field that's out in one of the mountain ranges. We went out there, and on the way out there, he was talking to me about Bitcoin and like investing in Bitcoin and like what it's all about. And I was asking him questions about it and just trying to like figure it out and just like what it actually was and like how it worked and stuff. I kid you not, man. We go out and we rock climb and we're on our way back into town. And the second I hit service, I get updates from my Facebook or whatever. So I'm going in and checking and I'm scrolling through my feed on Facebook. And one of the first ads that comes up is an ad for Bitcoin. And it says, and I literally showed it to Kellen. I was like, dude, you got to be kidding me. I like showed it to him and he was all, no way, is that your Facebook? And I was like, yeah. And And he was like, has that ever... And I was like, I've never seen an ad for Bitcoin on my Facebook before in my life, dude.
Right.
And I hadn't searched for it on my phone. I hadn't, like... There was no history of it on my phone at all. And then all of a sudden, it popped up in my Facebook. And I was like, motherfucker, dude.
Right.
They are totally fucking listening. Like... So I need to definitely go in and check. I know there's, like, some privacy settings or something that you can... go into your thing and like check off and it'll stop doing that kind of shit.
And the cruddy thing, you remember when they took what's his name? Mark Zuckerberg to court over specifically that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So like, dude, like what
for
the fuck
data
is
mining
going
and like
on?
and analytics and all that stuff.
He got off scot-free because he's like, when you download the app, you agree to an agreement.
You sign a privacy agreement that says terms. It says, do you accept the terms and agreements?
Yeah, and nobody ever reads it.
And when you click that, you agree to all that shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not bad talking any of that stuff. I totally clicked that button, but that's
At
why
the same time, it's just kind of creepy.
it's a little creepy. Yeah, it's definitely a little creepy. Like, what? How do you guys... Hang on a second. Who else is listening to me talk to my brother-in-law about Bitcoin? Like, that's a little bit creepy.
I know that FBI agent sitting in his office listening to my shenanigans going, oh, God, dude, what a dickhead.
He's like, why did this guy... this is the guy that I came across on the list today?
Right.
Damn it. All right.
Damn, bro.
29 more minutes of this. Here we go.
Here we go.
I'm talking about... All I hear him doing is cursing and throwing wrenches. I don't know what the hell's going on, man.
God, he's called this Ford a motherfucker at least 12 times. Like, shit.
If you had to pick, what would be your least favorite model of vehicle to work on?
Ooh.
You said doing an oil change on a Mercedes is a pain in the ass.
Realistically, the Mini Coopers I think are the worst.
Really?
Yeah.
What makes it the worst thing?
Mini, dude. Fucking like I got corn dog sized fingers and I can't like get in there and do nothing.
All right, that's fair. Is it like are I don't know anything about those vehicles. Are the engines like super small? Is it like a really compact little thingy?
So here's the thing about the Mini Cooper, like back in its early days, right? When they first started, well, I guess not the early days. The early days, they were still pretty good. But when they started turbocharging them, right, they had to put a beefier transmission in it to handle the power.
The ratio, yeah.
Power.
Yeah.
The problem they would have with them is the car is so compact and small, and they try to fit, 5 pounds of potatoes in a 10-pound sack.
Yeah, sure.
That the transmissions actually didn't have room to breathe, and they would blow up at 60,000.
Oh, really?
I mean, yeah, they had a real problem with it.
At 60,000 miles, they would?
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
So over the course of engineering and learning stuff, whatever, they make a pretty decent car. I will say, we've had. Oh God, what was the last one we had in? It was like at 280,000 miles.
Oh shit!
The guy just driving the wheels off of it.
Yeah. Little turbocharged one?
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, they're a lot of fun to drive, but you got to do anything on them. You got to pull stuff out of the way and whatever. I mean, just the oil filter. So it's got a cartridge filter.
What does that mean?
So like a regular spin-on filter is probably what most people think of when they think of an oil filter.
Yeah, like the screw-on thing.
Yeah, you go underneath. There's a little
can.
Little can. You just unscrew it, screw your new can on. Well, a cartridge filter has a housing, right? So it's got a plastic cap.
Okay.
And usually you either have to have a filter socket to actually go over the plastic cap and break it loose.
Yeah.
And then you pull it out and it has a paper filter. You pull the filter out, replace the filter, put the cap back on.
Okay. So it's similar to like a shop vac filter or whatever. Like you pull the casing out and then put the new like a vacuum filter or whatever.
Yeah.
Hot tub filter, like that kind of thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So instead of replacing the whole case, you replace just the paper filter.
Like a lawnmower filter, basically. Yeah. Okay. I got you. Okay.
So those, if you're, I forget, some of them you can snake them out, but they're right under the thermostat housing.
Oh, okay.
And so you kind of have a hole about this big to reach your hand into to grab a filter housing that's
bigger,
about this
that's
big.
bigger than the hole. Nice.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So you got to kind of pull it out, and sometimes you can move the hoses and stuff, but at 280,000, like they have plastic connectors.
Yeah, like you don't want to be in there
brittle and they break.
Wrenching on stuff, yeah.
It's like, oh my God, dude. So like when they're brittle and stuff, I unbolt the whole thermostat housing.
Sure. And
So-
like drain the coolant and do
Drain the coolant.
Oh shit!
Pull the oil filter out. Put new coolant. I mean, it just what the fuck?
An oil change turns into like a fucking
like
entire
a coolant flush.
a coolant
and
flush
you're
and
like,
like
oh god,
a new
dude.
thermostat, new filter, new oil,
Yeah.
new coolant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that makes sense.
So like they're not like. I mean, every car is about the same to work on, but every car has different challenges.
I always get nervous about horizontal engine cars because the belts are always on one side real close to the frame. And like sometimes the belts are so close to the frame or like in such a tight space, like how do you work on a crank in that car? You pull the engine out, right?
Well,
Like,
sometimes, yeah. I mean, usually they have access to the crank from the bottom. So you can like take the wheel off and it has a little plastic
like a cutout
shield
thing.
on it, and you
Okay.
take the shield off, and then the crank is right there. But sometimes that's all you can see.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like sometimes, and like, you know, the fucking power steering pump is like way back up inside of shit, and like there's you know some fucking weird combination of belts to get back there, and like like the Toyota that I have has like fucking 3 goddamn belts on the thing.
Yeah,
3 different serpentine belts that go over different shit. Like they're easy to get. They're easy enough to get to. I mean that engine, that little fucking 1.8 liters.
1.8 to like 1.9.
Yeah.
maybe,
Oh my god, dude. It's that engine shit. If there's something easy to work on, man. And honestly, if you need to pull that out, you can pretty much do it by yourself. You can just lift it out of there. Like, there's not much to it. But yeah, I always think about that stuff. Like, I worked on the Envoy for a long time, and it's. I mean, as far as an engine that's easy to work on, if you want to get into working on an engine that's, you know, not super hard to work on, things are pretty simple. I mean, those little V6s aren't too bad, really.
No, I mean the if it's the version I'm thinking of, the water pumps are kind of a pain.
That's the 3.6 liter Vortec.
Oh yeah, those ones aren't too bad.
It wasn't like everything that I did on there wasn't horrible. And I went all the way through. I replaced the intake manifold gasket on there, and we. I think one of the worst things we had to do on there actually was spark plugs, because you have to take both wheels off, and there's that, like you said, there's that plastic shit under there that my stepdad ended up just cutting that shit off. He's like, I don't fucking care, man. That shit's cutting off. That's coming off of there. He got sick of dealing with it and just ripped it off. And it's a fucking, you know, it's a 99 Blazer. Like, I don't give a shit. Rip it off there.
Whatever.
Yeah, rip it off there, dude. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that's I have learned a lot for sure. I've definitely learned a lot. What made you want to get into being an auto mechanic? Was it something that you aspired to get into even, or was it just like you kind of fell into it?
I mean, yes.
Okay. Perfect. Done. So thanks for watching, everybody.
Yeah, right. You guys have a good night. No, so like, I mean, I think everybody when Fast and Furious came out, they're like, dude, that's sick.
I was definitely like, dude,
wanna
that's sick. For sure. Open the hood and it's all sparkly and there's fucking silver everywhere and like fucking whooshy sounds coming out of the engines, and you're like, all right, I want that. Definitely want to do that.
For real. I mean, the cool thing about it, like, at least for me, was a lot of people watch it and they go, oh, dude, I want to go race. Like, it's like, okay, well, what are you going to do? Just buy a car that's already, you're going to drop $100,000 on a car that's already built.
Little did we know, watching those shows at 10 to 12 years old or whatever it was when we were watching those, when those movies came out, even younger for some of us. And little did we know that those cars that we thought were awesome were actually like $70,000-$80,000 cars. Like, you'll never have that in your entire life. But but they're fun to look at.
Yeah, they like brand new, they were maybe $20,000.
Yeah, right.
And then they depreciate, and then some dickhead goes and finds a $50,000 motor to put in it.
And then pays a fab shop, however many thousands to put the motor in and get all new parts and customize this and that. It's the customization, really, that'll do it. Every Subaru owner I've ever seen that has a remounted turbo that comes out of the thing, you pay a fab shop to do it, because they have to build you a new downpipe. They have to build you new intercooler piping, all that shit. So
well, and the thing is I was like, okay, well, yeah, it'd be cool to drive, right? I mean, driving fast is fun.
Yeah,
but
and I bet they're fucking sick. I bet they're super fast. I bet they're awesome to drive.
You've got to have a way to make that happen.
Yep.
So like, you either fork out the money to have one built, or you do it yourself. And I think Jesse in the show is so underrated.
Is he the one that drives the Golf?
Yeah.
The white 4-door Golf?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
He, he all has his computer program up, like showing the different parts of the car or whatever to Brian. I'm like, dude, that is sick. Like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
I want to be that guy.
Right.
He's like all crazy and shit because he's like huffing brake cleaner all the time.
Yeah.
He like gets a drip of coolant in his mouth about every day, and over the time your brain cells just
that
disappear.
Slow drip, Yeah.
Yeah.
That's definitely it.
So I was like, yeah, dude, I want to be that guy. Like, that's the guy who's always going to be faster than his friends because he knows what his car needs to go the extra mile.
He's more concerned about ratios and timing and getting the most out of every square inch of what's going on under there rather than just bolting on a bunch of chrome parts and then just letting that do the work. No, that guy's like, no, I'll bolt on 2 chrome parts and then I'll retune it and get like maximum efficiency out of everything with those parts and then still kick your guys' ass after you just dropped $6,000 in your engine for that shit. Yeah,
no, for sure. And
never thought about that,
and that's why I think it was super cool that he drove a Golf, right? Because I mean, the Golf, pretty much all of those cars until that movie came out.
GTIR.
Nobody gave a shit about any of those cars.
Right.
Fucking Honda Civics. I mean, the Supra was cool and fast. Everybody knew
Mitsubishi Evos were kind of cool, but Eagle Talons were cooler. It wasn't like the new style Mitsubishi Eclipse wasn't that cool because it got like kind of rounder and weirder.
The thing about the Subarus and the Evos is they were very well known in the rally circuit.
Yeah.
But when that movie brought them to the main stage of street
racing,
everybody wanted them.
Yep, fair enough.
So, and I mean, there was a lot of cars that got he had that Eclipse, right? And the first one, that green Eclipse.
The green Eclipse, yep.
Nobody gave a fuck about that car
until
that movie came out.
Eagle Talons were around, the same kind of model Eagle Talon. That was kind of the car that people wanted. Yeah. And then all of a sudden that movie came out with the cheaper version of the Eagle Talon, basically, and everyone was like, oh my God, that's a car I gotta have.
Yeah. And like the Honda S2000, I mean,
the S2000,
the RX-7 was cool.
Yep.
But like then the movie came out and they're like, "Oh my God, dude, I gotta fucking have one.
I have to get one, and I have to put a body kit on it, and I have to put a turbo on it."
Yeah, no, for sure. And like the thing that like, for those of you watching, you can't just bolt shit to your car and expect it to go faster. I mean, sure, you can put a turbo on it.
That's a really good segue into what I was telling you. I was like, I have a few things that I've got planned out to ask you about. I was actually going to ask you, like, what are 5, like, we'll go through a list. We can take as much time as we need to, but like, what are 5 like myths about vehicles that people need to stop doing? You know what I mean? Like, what are the? God. And we can start with that one. Yo, you cannot just buy parts off of eBay, shove them into your engine bay, and then turn the key and expect to rip down the road like fucking Paul Walker did. It doesn't work that way. I know that.
Yeah, and I mean, in the movie they made it look super easy, right? He had his Toyota Supra brought in on a tow truck.
Hold up. Like, he had his Supra brought in on a tow truck. Yeah. Just that alone. Like, okay.
Covered in dust.
Yeah.
He's all like, "Hey, man, I thought I told you I needed a 10-second car." He's like, "Bro, look under the hood."
Yeah.
Right? Here's the thing. That car was stock, and it would run 10 seconds.
No, that's
you know
the
what
thing.
I mean?
That's the thing. You brought in a Supra, man. Like, that's how they built those cars.
Exactly. So like when you're and it all depends on how you're building a car, right? So let's just say you want to build it for street racing. You're gonna want to really focus on not necessarily top speed.
Suspension, right?
A lot, like, here's where a lot of people go wrong, right? They're like, "Oh, I want those big horsepower numbers.
I want a giant turbo and a huge intake."
Yeah. Well, here's the thing people don't understand. When drifting first came around, 90% of the cars that were drifting only made 120.
They were stock.
Most of them were stock.
Engine-wise, they were stock.
Yeah, they'd only make 95 to 120 horsepower.
Right.
Like, they didn't make a lot of power. There were a lot of Japanese small, Toyotas.
Hondas
and stuff.
Yep.
That were converted to rear-wheel drive. Some of them were front-wheel drive, and they made it work, which those guys, holy shit, dude.
Good on those guys. God damn, talk about a ballsy fucking adventure.
For real.
Yikes. The front end of this car could just go at any moment, so here we go.
Yeah. So, like, if you're building a car for the street, suspension is huge.
Yeah.
Suspension and tires. If you have no way, like, the big problem is like, people put, like, let's just say stock, right? The stock suspension is built for comfortability.
Sure.
Right? So when you put an aftermarket suspension and it's built for racing, it's going to ride rough.
Okay.
You're probably going to hate it.
Yeah.
But you are going to notice faster track times. You are going to notice better handling in corners because you're making the most out of the power that you were given. If you can't get the power to the ground,
and well, you have to keep the car on the ground when the power gets transferred down there, right? So like you said, a good set of tires to keep the grip to the ground when the power eventually hits the wheels and they need to turn.
Yeah,
it keeps the car on the ground, and not only on the ground, but it keeps it pulling rather than it falling behind. Like it'll keep up.
I mean, I had a '92 Celica that was stock, and I could burn the tires off of it. Like, I mean,
yep.
So I mean,
dude, that little Toyota sitting out there, that little blue one, I can shred the front tires on that thing if I really want to. That thing will burn them all day, dude.
Oh, absolutely. Like the biggest thing people overlook, like it, and I'm hoping to build a race car within the next 2 years. But the biggest thing that I'm going to start with is the suspension.
Okay.
Right? Because like if you plan like drag racers, people get so bored watching drag racing. I'm like, but you have no idea. They're like, well, they just drive in a straight line. Well, yeah, dude, but they're going 200 miles an hour in a quarter mile.
And man,
fuck.
That's the thing. Like, dude, I feel like engines are such an underappreciated, incredible, wild, insane thing that gets so easily overlooked in everyday life. Like, it's incredible to... Like, I feel like people don't realize that, dude, you are literally driving a death machine. You're driving a bomb down the road, and somehow all the little fucking ticks are lining up exactly perfectly, and it's propelling you forward. Instead of just exploding, which it's actually doing 1,000 times an hour. It's just exploding.
Yeah. Every combustion cylinder
is an explosion. It's an explosion. There's just a billion explosions happening at your feet. And we don't care at all about it. Like,
no,
we see a field fire.
Karen's going to get her groceries, fucking pick up her kids from soccer.
Dude,
like
we see a field fire and we run for our lives, but we run to our cars that are exploding down the road to get away from the explosion in the field. Like, it's such a crazy. Engines are such a wild, overlooked, crazy thing, man.
The thing is like I think especially like drag racing, NASCAR. Like, people look at NASCAR and they're like, oh, they took another lap, fucking 200 laps to the left. Well, here's the thing. Like, number one, NASCAR is very much an endurance sport.
Yeah.
It's, they did a scientific study, I think it was like 3 years ago, that a guy who like, a race car driver in NASCAR will lose up to 10 pounds a race.
Really? Just from like the G-forces and the muscle tension that it takes
the sweating.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane. They tested it on Mythbusters, right? Huh. And they actually took like I forget which track it was in California, but it wasn't a NASCAR track. It was like
just like a circuit track?
Kind of, yeah. Okay. So, and they didn't have high horsepower cars or anything. They took a little Toyota Corolla out there and fucking drove.
Oh, they just did an endurance race. Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
After the 100 laps, they lost up to like 2 to 3 pounds.
Wow.
Which is
just at their speed in an everyday car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, the thing people don't realize is those guys are sending that car into a corner at 180 miles an hour.
The muscle strength it takes to turn an engine and a differential at that speed.
And I mean, even with power steering, like it's the thing is like
gravity doesn't want to go that way. Gravity wants to just keep going.
Well, yeah, and it's centrifugal force. Like, centrifugal force wants to send you into the wall,
right?
And you have to fight it, even with power steering.
Against that. Yeah.
Like, even if you're driving around town hauling ass, you take a corner at 25.
Yeah.
You're like,
you feel
holding onto the wheel, and these guys are sending it at 180. Just fucking balls to the walls. Right? Do it for Dale. Fucking
high in, low out, bitch. Go.
Yeah. Like, that's the thing. It's like, holy shit, that guy can drive. And they're like, well, he drives in certain... Dude, you don't realize, though.
Dude, okay. And so, yeah, one thing that made me appreciate NASCAR a lot more, actually, when I was in high school, I was in auto class in high school, and we actually had, for like 2 or 3 days, we actually had like a professional NASCAR driver in shop. And his car was actually in the shop. Like, we actually got to see, he pulled his car into the shop.
Yeah.
And first of all, I don't think that a lot of people who don't appreciate NASCAR, I don't think that they've ever been up close to a NASCAR. I don't think they've ever actually seen one standing still and, like, looking down the front of it.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, the cars are not straight. Like, the body of the car is slanted.
It's lean,
the whole car is built on a slant.
Yeah.
And the reason they do that is for aerodynamic going into the turns, because it's all one turn. You never have to turn the car a different way. So they build the whole car on a slant.
Yeah.
that was the first thing that I was like, what the fuck?
It's a second.
Most people see the cars moving down the track. They don't ever see them from the front, like looking at them.
And they're all...
Yeah, they're super tilted, right? Yeah, so that was the first thing. I walked out into the shop and I went around the car and the guy was like, yeah, so if you notice, the car's slanted. And I was just like, whoa,
damn,
it is, dude.
is.
That's fucking crazy. Second of all, I don't think a lot of people have ever actually stood next to a NASCAR in isolation and heard it running.
Oh, God, dude.
Dude, one of the loudest things I've ever heard in my entire life was a NASCAR starting in my auto shop in high school.
Yeah.
I did not expect that Dude, it sounds like it sounds like a fucking rally of monster trucks all starting at the same exact time. Like,
yeah, it's wild.
Dude, it blew my fucking mind. And it totally makes sense because the engines in those things are fucking these massive...
Just built to the hills, dude.
Air in, exhaust out, dude. Like
I actually found a site that you can buy NASCAR motors.
Oh, really? Like crate engines?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So I was like, dude, fuck. Dude.
How many miles do they put on a NASCAR engine before they replace it? Well, I guess depending on whether or not it blows up in that amount of time.
I have no idea.
What's the regulation for?
I think. I mean, it all depends on the crew, right? Because as long as your car meets specs, they don't give a shit how old the motor. The motor could have 500,000 miles on it.
Did you pass the qualifier? You're in. Like the rest is up to your pit crew, dude. So I guess you run them until they blow up.
Some
right?
teams, what they'll do is they'll have one car that they say they'll run this Sunday, right? Then they have another car that's built that they'll run the next Sunday.
Forget they have like multiple cars on their team.
The other car that they have, they're either just swapping out a motor with a crate motor or they're rebuilding it or whatever.
So they always have one kind of in limbo, ready to kind of come out if they need it.
Now, if you're a newer team that doesn't have that
doesn't have $3.2 million for 3 NASCARs,
God, if not more, like
just for the cars, not the sponsorships on the windows and all the tires and all that shit, just the shells and the engines.
Here's the I have something to say about the tires.
Dude,
we'll get there.
Bring it on. I'm ready. I'm so fucking ready. This is awesome.
Remind me of the tires here in a minute.
Okay,
We're gonna talk about some myths and stuff here in a second.
Yeah, right. Yeah, okay. Boom. Yes. So we're still fucking in this. Nice.
Those crate NASCAR motors are $88,000. Just the motor. Then you got to have a transmission, which they usually run a 2 to 3 speed Jericho transmission.
Which is probably the ratio is probably insane on that.
It's stupid.
Like 0.01 to fucking
first
1.
Gear, you just let off the clutch and it burns out.
It just goes.
You're like, what the fuck?
Jesus Christ.
Those Jericho transmissions are about 12 to, if you get like the really high end, $20,000.
And it has 3 speeds. So it's just down, up, or whatever. It's just like, it's just boom, boom, boom.
It's either that. I mean, you can set it up to where it's like a regular 1, 2, 3, whatever.
Or you can do 3 pulls on it, or whatever. I've seen dudes do that. They just wrench on it and it goes to the next gear.
Yeah. So I mean,
dude?
Let's say $88,000 plus the $20,000 transmission. You're already $100,000.
Let's be conservative.
And it's not even in a frame.
It's not even in a car.
It doesn't have a body. It doesn't have a differential, tires, axles, spindles. I mean, you're already right there at the cost of a house.
No shit. Like just in metal parts, you're in the cost of a house. What would it cost for like a shell for a NASCAR, like for an actual the frame that's all made to be aerodynamic and that whole thing.
There's a company.
Most of them are like Monte Carlo frames, aren't they? Like,
well, it depends. I mean, Toyota.
Can you get different ones?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, they're all kind of built the same.
Right. It's just it's a fiberglass shell that just looks like a car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was looking, you could buy I forget what they call it. It's not really a frame. It's not really I guess you call it a tubular chassis.
Okay.
Because it's a frame and your roll cage and
kind of just like
everything all in one. I mean, it's a bunch of metal bars welded together.
Sure.
I want to say one of those is like 20 grand, 30 grand.
And that's including the chassis, like you said?
That's without the shell that goes over top.
God, okay, so just the framing on the bottom is 20 grand.
The framing
another 20,
and your roll cage all in one
20,
piece.
30 grand, something like that?
Okay, and then so we're in shell's like another 15 grand. So then you got to get it painted.
You're in it like 150 to get the car built. Maybe 160.
Well, and that's before rear differential.
That's what I'm saying. Just to get the car like on a kind of looking good in your garage.
Yeah.
Like, now we're ready for wheels.
Yeah, and then a drive line that's another $5,000. Like, I mean, the list just
Well,
goes
yeah,
on
and everything
on
has to
and
be
on.
like, if you're gonna do it for the thing,
Yeah.
everything has to be super high performance.
Oh, yeah.
So you have to get things
Well,
that are.
and if you crash at 200,000 miles an hour, you got to be safe. So you got to
Right.
buy yourself a race
that's
seat
true.
that's about $800.
Fuck. Oh,
like,
dude, I bet safety
mean-
systems in cars like that. I bet the companies that make the safety systems for God, dude, I am in the wrong industry.
You know
God
what's
damn it.
wild?
I bet they make so much money on like just airbags, selling airbags to NASCAR.
They don't.
They don't?
Here's the
Really?
crazy thing. The reason, right? Did you ever see that video? There was a guy, I think he was climbing Pikes Peak with he was either Subaru, Mitsubishi, and he like sailed it off. He went to drift and just went right off a cliff. He rolled it something like 200 times.
What?
And he lived.
And walked out of it?
Walked out of it. Here's the deal. Race cars and Donut Media. If you go on their YouTube page, please subscribe to them. They are dope. Okay.
Shout out to Donut Media. What's up?
They do I mean, God, they talk about history of cars. They talk about why some cars failed in the industry. I mean, they talk about everything car related. They did a section talking about why are race cars safer than, regular, like you'd go to the dealership and buy a new 2020 Toyota Corolla, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever, a 2020 Toyota Tundra. What's the safest car on the road? Here's the thing. They're built for luxury, right? So you want to be comfortable. You want to have room, right? What's the first thing you get in a car? You're like, God, dude, this thing has so much leg room.
Got
it's
a lot of leg
comfortable."
room. And usually that's one of the first things you hear.
Here's the thing. In a crash, with all that room, slam
You have
against.
a lot more room for impact.
Yeah,
sure.
you're gonna be moving.
To gain speed in an impact.
In
yeah.
a race car, you have your harness and your seat that's welded to the frame,
Right.
or bolted to the frame, and then you have a roll cage, and you can't move like your arms. Your
can't
arms and
move at
legs are all that move.
Yeah,
so when you
right.
crash, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah, you just sit in it.
You don't need an airbag.
Uh-huh.
You don't need.
Well, and everything around you is designed to crash,
hold you
basically.
in
Yeah,
place. Yeah.
And the whole car is built for if you fucking wreck,
Yeah.
these safety systems will keep you in place.
Yeah. So because
They even have like the neck protectors and shit around their head where
it's
their
like
head
part of their helmet.
Their head doesn't
and,
even move. Yeah, it keeps their neck straight.
The more still you can be and the less space you have, the less you're gonna get hurt.
Right.
But because everybody wants a comfortable car, you
build
have to
these-
have an
you build these
airbag to
big-
take up that space.
Oh, I see.
You got to have side
Oh.
curtain airbags to take up that space.
That makes a lot of sense for the airbag industry, like the airbag world. That's an interesting way to think about. I'm sure most people just think about airbags as when I wreck, this airbag comes out to stop me
Saves
from
my face.
stop me from smashing into the steering wheel. But
Yeah.
actually, that makes a lot of sense. It's because there's a bunch of
to
empty space
take
in
up
your
the
fucking
space.
car,
Yep.
and it's so you don't hit that thing and then it doesn't propel your body 90 miles an hour into the front. Well, I guess it makes sense. So you're not going through the front windshield of the car.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
even with with your seatbelt on, you're still going to get that frontal kind of whiplashy thing,
Yeah.
and that airbag will help fill that space so you don't do that as bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So why don't they make money on NASCAR? I don't understand that.
Well, I mean, the guys who make the race seat and the harnesses do, but there's no reason for an airbag in a NASCAR. Because
Makes a lot of sense because everything else is
strapped
everything
in.
else is designed to withstand all that shit, so
Yep.
you don't need them. At that point, an airbag is just extra weight, huh?
Yeah. Yep.
Wow. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, because they build seats and harnesses that fucking do the work for you.
Yeah, to hold you in place, you're not moving.
Okay.
Like the most important thing in a race car is the roll cage.
Okay.
Because if you have, God, dude, you wreck going 200 miles an hour, 120 even, the car's gonna flip.
It's going to flip, and it's going
to.
If it doesn't have support, the thing's made out of a cookie cutter sheet of aluminum.
Here's another thing:
Are we on
get a
the-
roll cage, have it welded by a professional.
Is that
Don't
number-
sit
is
there
that-
in your garage,
Yeah.
fucking welding pipe to pipe to pipe.
Okay.
Think, oh, dude, look at this sick roll cage. And then you put it under an X-ray to look at your welds, and they're all cracked, and they look like fucking
And it's
Cindy Lou Who down here with 5 teeth.
And basically,
fucking
at that
smoking
point, you're
out of
just
a-
adding a bunch of spears into the back of the end of your
God,
car.
dude.
So when you
Well,
do wreck,
it all folds over, and the pipes come loose.
like I
and
said, they
just
go
fucks
loose,
you
and then
up.
the welds break,
Yeah.
and you got these jagged ass edges that are in the back of your car, jostling around,
Yeah.
poking shit when you're wrecking. Nice, fun.
And there are companies and people don't realize this.
Pay the money for safety. Just pay for safety.
There are companies out there who will inspect welds, and they actually use an X-ray machine.
Okay.
They go up and take picture by picture by picture of all your welds, And a weld can look perfect from the outside, and when you look at the X-ray, you can actually see there's like a hairline crack somewhere. So you got to grind it down and do it again.
Wow.
So,
See, and at that point, dude, if you're gonna get somebody to inspect your welds, just fucking have them weld it.
yeah,
You can even bring them all the railing and just be like, yo, I just need it. Bring them the railing in a diagram and just be like, I need it welded together like this.
Yeah.
These are all the parts. I labeled them all so they all fit together right. I just need you guys to fucking do the right job on it.
yeah. And I mean, if you wanted to assemble the cage yourself, you could tack. Just tack it together.
And then take it to someone.
So it's in your car.
Yep.
Take it to someone. Don't drive like a dickhead and wreck.
Right.
And just have them like welded up for you.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay.
But
roll
the one of the things I was gonna say about drag racing earlier is like people think of it as like, okay, it's just a straight line race. There's nothing really exciting going on other than they're going fast.
Yeah.
The whole drag racing thing, I mean, yeah, part of it is being faster than the guy to your right or the guy to your left, whatever lane you're in. But the biggest thing is basically showing off, hey, I built a 2,000 horsepower motor.
Right.
And this thing runs.
It just fucking goes. Yeah.
I mean, that's...
And it doesn't explode.
Yeah. Like, it's insane. Those Top Fuel dragsters. If you ever get to go to a drag strip and watch Top Fuel, be sure to get a pit pass. Now, pay attention to just a particular car, right? You find a car, you're like, damn, that one looks cool.
What's this Top Fuel thing? What is Top Fuel?
So Top Fuel dragsters use a special, I don't know if it's like jet fuel or
100% pure grain alcohol. That kind of shit?
Dude,
like
yeah,
that stuff? Okay.
Like, if you're standing close to one when it's running, your eyes are burning. Like, I mean, your nostrils are inflamed. Like, it's...
They're using some sort of octane that's
rough,
just like
dude.
some crazy amount or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, nitromethane is worse
Okay.
because they use the same type of gas mixed with methanol, and then they also have nitrous on it. And
Jesus.
the nitrous will, like, actually turn your face blue if you get sprayed with it. And God, it sucks.
Wow. Okay.
But those guys will run a quarter mile in just about 3 to 5 seconds.
What?
Yeah.
Seriously?
They go 0 to 100 in like 0.25 seconds.
How do they do that?
They get 60 feet in 0.5 seconds. I mean, they're just insane fast. Yeah.
Wow. How do you even control something at that? Like when you're in the driver's seat.
Well, that's the whole point of a drag race. You're like, this
and your
thing
rev
is so
limiter
mean,
is
I can only drive it straight.
Yeah. And you go to hit the thing, and the thing literally like throws you back. Well, again, harnesses and good seats and all the good restraints and shit. But fuck, dude, that thing's got to throw you back so hard in the seat
6
that
Gs.
you can't even grip the steering wheel anymore, dude. It's got to just be like this. I hope to God my shit keeps me in line and like my wheels are big enough that I just kind of go down the road.
Dude, there's this chick on Instagram. I think her name is Lay. I forget her name, and that's bad because I met her one time. But she is a like world class, like award-winning drag racer. She does it full time.
Huh.
She's sponsored by Dodge and Mopar.
Nice.
Her car, they go, well, you know, we're kind of into the finals. It's the end of the race season. We really got to win this one. So they tuned it up a little bit, right? They're like, we're really going to lay down some numbers.
Yeah.
She takes off at about the 60-foot line. The power was so immense from the dragster that she was going at the 60-foot line going 207.
At 60
0
feet?
to 60 feet going 207 miles an hour. Her car folded in half.
What?
It just straight up boop and just tumbled down the strip.
Oh my God.
Everybody's like, holy shit, dude. They're all fucking running out to the track. She pops the thing open, undoes her thing, gets out, walks away.
Jesus Christ,
I was like,
dude.
God, dude. But
so the frame literally couldn't handle the force that was being applied by the engine. Like,
it was
the differential folded the frame in half.
Yeah. There's a YouTube video out there. You gotta look it up.
I'll have to check that out, dude. Oh my God.
But the thing about those Top Fuel dragsters is if you watch them run, right?
So you have to get a pit pass. That's what you were saying.
Yeah, some tracks you do. Some tracks allow you to go into the pits without one.
Oh, okay. But you want to go check out the pits, right?
Yeah, you want to check it out.
Okay.
So you'll find one, right? You'll watch it make its run, go down to the pit, and find their trailer, right? Their race trailer. And sometimes you can sit there and hang out. They'll let it cool down for 30 minutes, an hour, whatever. And you'll sit there and watch them. They will rebuild the motor between every pass.
Really?
Every pass.
Wow. Like rebuild, like just do
Pistons, like
down
rods,
to the everything.
everything.
What?
The only things they reuse are the block and the head. I mean, the valves come out.
How do you get it apart? I mean, I know that
they got like 6 guys on it, power tools. I mean, these guys have built these motors
their entire lives.
lives. I mean, they're just
they got into a pit crew as early as they could.
Yeah.
You know, as kids and stuff. Yeah,
dream job. Dude.
Yeah, dream job. No shit, man.
So they all have their like snap-on boxes in their trailer, and they all have the tools they need set out. The car comes up, it cools down.
Well, and they have the exact parts for that engine because
Yeah.
they know exactly what it took to put it together and take it apart.
Exactly.
And it's not like those engines are like overly complex in the first place. I mean,
Yeah.
all the lines and the hoses are just like, hey, they're all right on top. Everything's just right here to get everything off. It's all braided cables and just fucking
Yeah.
blah 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 blah. They're all kind of
and
just,
fittings. They
yeah,
just,
like everything just
roll
like
them
comes off of there.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That makes more sense. Yeah.
So I one time was watching, and she's what's her car? Elena Hart.
Okay.
She's a local Spokane racer.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And she's sponsored by Napa, whatever. But I went and watched her make a run, and she was pretty quick. You know, she didn't win that one, but I go down to the pass, and I watch. They had that motor torn down. I started a stopwatch when they started tearing it down. Had the motor torn down back together in 45 minutes.
Wow. With new components.
New components. It was insane. Here's the other thing I learned too watching it.
How do you check tolerances and stuff on that when you're that? You just
they
know
don't.
they
They just have all the parts together.
it's just ready to go. You just throw
Yeah.
it together like.
Set it top dead center and send it. Here's the
I
great.
love that, dude. Set it top dead center, fucking
Just
TDC,
send
go.
it. Yeah. So
That's
like,
fucking amazing.
here's the wild thing about those cars too. They don't run water pumps. They don't run an intake gasket. Some of them don't even run head gaskets because they know they're gonna have to rebuild it every time. Scraping off a head gasket takes time. Scraping off intake gaskets takes time. So when people talk about billet aluminum parts or billet parts, you
It's just
can get them
one-
machined so well that you don't need a gasket.
so flat,
You can literally bolt it together and it's gonna seal.
and it won't it won't seep.
Yeah, it's insane, dude. They don't run water pumps because they're only running a quarter mile.
Whoa. Okay. All right. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I didn't know what that meant, but that actually does make a lot of sense because I was watching on YouTube. I can't remember what channel it was. It's some Australian dude, and he's working in a custom shop, they're rebuilding a Subaru block, and they got a billet aluminum Subaru block with heads, and so that's what he's talking about. They didn't, and I think he says in there we don't have head gaskets because it's zero tolerance or something like that, and it's just. They press together,
no imperfections.
so he'll never have to worry about it as long as those bolts are holding,
they're tight,
as long as those bolts are at tolerance and at spec. That block is the only one he'll ever have forever. You won't ever have to. And it's super sound that way because everything is just basically one solid chunk. That's what that means. It was like a $40,000 block, so it makes sense.
Oh yeah, just the block,
just the block, and the center's all fucking gold, and the heads are all fucking like this really shiny aluminum shit. And I'm like, that's a nice looking block.
I want it, man.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Bad.
Yeah, and then they're putting on this fucking just this big old turbo and like all these. He's talking about the pistons that were in there and shit, and I'm just like. That is going to be one hella Subaru. That boy's going to have a fast car.
Well, they have to, those top field drags, they have to rebuild after every pass because literally at 120 feet down the drag strip, they have melted the spark plugs out of the head.
So they get one pass.
They get one pass, that's it.
Wow.
They melt the spark plugs out of, like, it amazes me, dude. Like, if you ever get bored, do some reading and research on it.
How many fully component parted engines do those guys carry around with them to like an event?
Well, it depends. If they want to win, they're going to have,
like
they know they're going to have, like, let's say they know they're going to make 6 passes.
Yeah. They're have 7 engines.
Well, usually what I see anyway, what I've noticed is the real pro teams have 2 crate engines on their truck ready to go.
Oh, so they can just drag and drop basically.
Well, they try not to. So here's what'll happen, right? So let's say they make it the first pass, they take it back, they rebuild that motor, make their second pass, take it back, rebuild it. Third pass, take it back, rebuild it. Fourth pass, they like crack the block or the head's no good. They take the crate motor out, throw it in.
Okay.
So then they can still make their 5th pass. Their 5th pass, they rebuild that motor.
Okay.
6th pass, hopefully they make it and they just rebuild that motor.
Okay.
So
those are like super backups, kind of, basically.
Yeah,
like it's
if
like
something's fucked that we cannot fix
like
it.
a catastrophic failure.
Yeah.
That's when we got to drop.
Which
in
typically melting spark plugs out of the engine
you
would be catastrophic.
You would classify that, but no, they're just like, no, dude, cool them down, wrench them out of there, put new ones in, dude. Let's go.
TDC and send it, bud. Fucking
love it, man. It's like when the it's those things, man. Those little like automotive sayings, TDC and send it. You were like telling me when we were putting the alternator in Becca's car, I'm like, what's the torque spec on this? And you're like, the old German
type, the Gudentite.
The old Gudentite, you know?
Yeah.
I asked my stepdad once, I was like, what's the like what we were talking about, my air conditioning not working in the Envoy. And I was like, man, I think I want to get one of those kits that like one of the recharge kits or whatever. And he was like, dude, 4 to the floor and 60. And I was like, what? And he's like, 4 to the
Wind
floor.
it down, bro.
Yeah, 4 to the floor and 60 miles an hour, dude. Just go. Like, create your own air conditioning. I was like,
oh, God, dude, I've owned so many of those cars.
Yeah, I love that kind of shit, man.
The other thing I like to do is I was like, man, dude, this car, like, it's a 2020, and this car don't have shit in it, dude. It's got roll your owns. People are like, roll your owns? Yeah, man, you got to roll your own window down.
Roll your owns, dude.
You never see those anymore.
You see those in the 2020 specs at like rent a car and Enterprise
like,
and Hertz.
Basically,
those ones all have
vehicles,
those ones all have roll your owns, man. Our fucking fleet vehicle for my work has goddamn roll your owns in it. Yeah, and it's like a 2016 Dodge Dakota. Like it should totally have automatic windows. Nah, man, you get in there. It's
roll
like,
your own.
Also doesn't have cruise control, so have fun with that. And you're like, wow, what?
Right?
How is this? How is that a
by
thing?
the way, you got to drive to Montana today. You're like, fuck.
No
dude.
shit. 4 hours without cruise control. Good luck, buddy.
Yeah.
Like, don't get distracted out there. What was the thing you were going to say about tires?
Okay.
Are we at that point yet? Or
almost.
Okay.
I'm going to bang out my list of 5.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Awesome.
So, list of 5 myths. Number 1, bolting a turbo doesn't make your Honda faster. I'm sorry.
Well, it might for a little while, right?
It feels faster, sure.
Yeah, okay.
Because you're getting, like...
You're slamming a shitload of air into it, right?
You are building more power, right? But like I said before, without the suspension to back it up, it doesn't really matter.
Okay.
But the biggest thing...
You're just lifting the motor harder at that point, right? Yeah.
And I was told this by a guy years ago, and I was like, well, yeah, I mean, there's some truth to it, but does it really do that much? And until we worked on my buddy Ashton's Subaru, that I realized, like, holy shit, dude, the number one thing, if you're looking for power, is a tune. You can take a completely stock car, tune it, and be faster than every other dude with that same stock car. A tune is like 90% of what's going to make
on
your
stock
car
components
faster.
too, right? Like you can tune most stock vehicles, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's another one that maybe that falls in line with the second one that you're talking about. Like, not only will, a turbo, well, I guess that's still the first one. That falls in line with the first one. A turbo won't make your car faster. As a matter of fact, tuning your stock components will probably make your car faster than bolting on a turbo and not tuning it.
Like everybody, like here's the thing we did with Ashton's Subaru, right? So it's advertised that the Subaru WRX, he had an 05.
STI. This is an STI.
Makes like 300 horsepower, right? But what they don't tell you is it's 300 horsepower to the crank. So
I was going to say that's engine horsepower,
so that's
right?
a dyno tune that they did with the motor on an engine stand on a dyno.
Okay, and just had a rod hooked up to the crank. Yeah, okay.
So that engine's not spinning the transmission. It's not. It doesn't have a water pump dragging it down.
It's not converting torque into the wheels either, right?
Yeah,
you lose power there too, right? Yeah.
So I mean, you have the whole drivetrain to go. By the time it hits the wheels, you're only really making 250.
Okay. So you're losing 50 horsepower, roundabouts 50 horsepower throughout the whole process, from engine to floor, basically.
We swapped the motor out on his, right? And we did get the JDM version, which has a slightly different turbo, and then it has slightly bigger valves, which when we took it to the tuner to get it tuned, it made like 275 to the wheels, but it's still not 300 that they advertise that everybody thinks they're getting.
Yeah.
So... a mild tune, right? We didn't go like, hey, push it as hard as it'll go.
Super stage 1 style kind of.
Yeah, we did just a stage 1. We took the butterfly valves out of the intake runner, whatever, and then
TGV deletes.
Yeah,
that's that bad boy.
We did that, put a new clutch, and we didn't even do a high performance clutch either. We just ran a stock clutch in it.
Oh, okay. Like just an OEM clutch?
Yeah, we went to AutoZone, picked one. They were the only ones open at 10,
OEM
10
STI
p.m.
clutch,
Like,
man. Nice. Okay, nice. Hey, man, that gives me faith in putting a clutch in my car. 'Cause
Right.
it's going to need it eventually, so it's good to know I can just throw another regular one in there.
So we get to the dyno, and the guy's like, well, what do you want? Well, we could go for a stage 2 without swapping injectors and turbo and doing all this crazy shit, right?
Not messing with the air to
I was
fuel
like,
too much, yeah.
We just want to do a stage 1 tune, which basically is going to change your ignition timing, your timing while at full open throttle, and then it's going to change your fuel maps.
Okay.
So, basically, when you go in for a tune, typically what they do is they see what's holding the motor back, which 9 times out of 10... I will say 10 times out of 10.
Let me guess. 10 times out of 10, it's something to do with the air to fuel ratio. Am I right or wrong?
It's what controls the air to fuel ratio.
Okay. So I was half right.
So 10 times out of 10, emissions. Emissions bullshit is what's strangling your engine.
Oh, like restrictions in your emissions? So like a catalytic converter and all that shit?
Catalytic converter. I mean,
Mufflers,
we left the cat on his. We took I believe his Subaru should have had. Well, we deleted all the cats by the time it was done. But
I was gonna say there's a cat. There's a cat on the downpipe. There's cats on the exhaust.
There's cat on the up pipe and there's a cat on the downpipe.
Right.
The cat on the up pipe we got rid of. If you own an STI, get rid of the up pipe cat. I legally can't tell you that, but if you're gonna use it for off-road use only,
we said questionable content, everyone. That's the disclaimer.
Take that up pipe cat out, because when those motherfuckers come apart, they send all that shit right into your turbo.
That's why when you go to order an NVIDIA up pipe, it says only for off-road use.
Yep,
it says for off-road use only.
Yep, for track use only, off-road use only.
Oh, okay.
Because it is federally illegal to take a catalytic converter off of a vehicle.
But only in some states, right? Because like in
Every
Wyoming,
state.
we don't have any
Federal.
emissions laws, right? So
Doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter.
Federal.
Really?
Yep. There's actually a shop that got busted in Douglas. Let me see, 5, 6 years ago. Their shop had to pay $2 million per job that they did because they were a diesel shop. They were taking they were doing EGR cooler deletes, which is emissions related. They were doing, what's that? DEF tank deletes.
Yeah. Okay.
So DEF is diesel exhaust fluid.
Yeah, my drivers at my work have to use it in their trucks.
Yeah, basically all it does is it squirts stuff down into the cat to make sure it gets a cleaner burn. And
okay, and it burns off more, right?
It catches all the soot and all that junk.
Okay.
So
it's called DEF. It comes in a purple bottle.
Yeah. So if
we get cases of that shit at my work.
Dude, that stuff they had no idea what they were doing. If that stuff leaks out of your tailpipe, it's pure ammonia.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh, good. So
bring it to my shop. Just fuck me up.
So standing behind one of those trucks at a gas station.
Yeah, they're like, really, we're saving the environment.
Really good for you.
Like, it's not supposed to leak out the tailpipe because it's supposed to burn all off.
Right.
But think about it. You're burning pure ammonia.
Yeah. You're burning ammonia.
Like, how is that any better than carbon? You do realize trees feed on carbon?
Last time I saw It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Charlie passed out when he inhaled ammonia.
Yeah.
Like, passed out really fucking hard.
Yeah.
And did it on purpose. But yeah, I get it. Yeah, it's not good. Definitely not good.
So yeah, like anytime you do anything that is federally illegal.
So this diesel shop was deleting the cats on the up pipes.
For performance stuff.
And you were saying it throws a bunch of soot and shit into your turbo?
Well, no. So we got two different things. So
we digressed a little bit,
this was a diesel shop that got busted for doing that.
Right.
Even though Wyoming has no laws against it. Federally, it's illegal.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because I said
EPA, all those guys. So if you take the up pipe or the up pipe catalytic converter, you can only use it off road.
Okay. Disclaimer.
Yeah, it's a race car now.
Yeah. Okay. But it's not like is it like performance wise? Does it? It helps, right?
It helps it breathe a little bit, but you're not going to notice a difference.
Really?
Be honest, you get it on the dyno. The only thing you're going to notice is now it's running rich.
Running rich and sounds a little throatier, probably.
Yeah,
it gives you a little boxer rumble.
That's about it.
Okay.
So a tune is the number one important thing that people overlook all the time. Living in Spokane, everybody there is a Honda fuckboy.
I was gonna say, with your B specs, with all your fucking B spec engines, stop putting turbos on them and just go get them tuned.
Yeah, and I mean, putting a turbo on them helps, but if you don't get it tuned, like if
you're gonna put a turbo on it, have the money in reserve to get that turbo tuned also, and be prepared for them to tell you need spark plugs, you need injectors, you need fucking
O2 sensors, air fuel ratio, wideband, whatever they decide to use.
You need boost control solenoid, you need blow off valve, you need this, you need that, you need all these different things. Yeah.
Like the number one thing is the tune. Like, right, I was talking to a guy about getting my truck tuned, and I was gonna pay him, and then I couldn't get a hold of him, whatever. But all he does is makes it to where the emission stuff still works, but it doesn't restrict your motor as much. So what he does is he makes the engine run. He adjusts his fuel maps to where it's throwing more fuel in, and it's sucking more air in as a byproduct.
Sure, yeah, it has to, yeah.
And then, of course, when you do that, now the emission stuff is freaking out. Okay. It's like, oh my god, dude, there's way too much fuel content.
So all your O2 sensors are
your
O2
sensors are screaming. The evap is doing all it can to make everything happen. So then he just goes in and changes the values. He's like, hey, it's okay for the truck to run this way. You need to let it run this way. So that right there, like my truck is advertised 350 at the motor, and it maybe makes 275. Like, this thing's a dog. But I had a guy.
It's got 4-way steering though, which is
it does have 4-wheel steering, which is dope.
So fucking cool.
Yeah.
What's the thing? What's the badge on the side of it? What's it say? The little
Quadra-steer.
So if you guys ever see a GMC like 2500 or
it's a Sierra Denali.
Yeah. Okay, if you guys ever see a GMC Sierra Denali with a badge on the window, like they have like the SLE and the LE or what the SC and all that shit. If you see that badge and it says Quadra-steer, that truck literally turns like a monster truck. Like the back wheels turn with the front wheels. So like when the front wheels turn, the back wheels turn.
So
like it does,
under 40 miles an hour,
it does that thingy.
It does opposite, right? But above 40, they turn the same way.
They lock in, so it does like a
crab walk.
So, that's so wild,
dude. When I first got the truck,
is it weird driving it on the highway?
Bro, I almost straight up fucking crashed the first time I drove it on the freeway, dude. Because I had a '95 Ford Ranger before this truck.
Rear wheel drive, just fucking.
Oh, dude, that truck sucked. It had 20s on it though. Like,
oh my god! Was it the little like single cab?
Oh yeah. Like a single cab.
2-wheel drive.
It was that baby robin's egg blue. Oh god, dude,
what a fucking gem!
I pulled poon for days, bro. Fuck.
Till the drive shaft quit, and then
actually that truck ran pretty good. The only thing I hated about that design is it was a 2.3 liter, it was an inline 4, had 8 spark plugs,
2 for each valve or 2 for each cylinder.
2 for each cylinder.
What? Why?
Yeah. So one would actually fire to create your combustion. The other one would fire milliseconds after to help burn the rest of what's in there.
Oh god. Stupid efficiency crap that
but here's the thing. You put one that doesn't have it and one that does side by side, the emissions are exactly the same.
Yeah, like I said, some weird
just
technology.
over-engineered they hoped would work. Some weird technology. It didn't work. Fuck.
Well, it worked this one time in a test lab when we tried it over here, so we might as well throw it in.
Test it. They just threw it the fuck in there and said, you know what, TDC.
They had to take it to SEMA and be like, we have this new thing. They had to come out with something, they were just like, here's the extra work Ford Ranger.
You know what killed me about Ford? They would always throw, like back in the 90s, they would always throw this random ass fucking weird thing with their cars, right? So they had the Taurus Show, which the Taurus Show was a little bit built of. It usually had a V6 in it. Some of them came turbocharged, some of them didn't, whatever.
The Taurus Show? Is that what it said?
Yeah, it's
Ford
S-H-O.
Taurus Show?
Yep.
So it's like a submodel of a Taurus?
Yeah.
Ford Tauruses are pieces of shit.
They are.
Okay.
The Taurus Show is also a piece of shit.
Okay.
But everybody thinks, oh, it's the Taurus Show. It's so fast. Well, okay, it's faster than the regular Taurus, but bro, like
it's still a fucking Taurus underneath there, man.
A stock Subaru the same year is gonna just fucking drag you down the road.
An NA Subaru, and good God.
So they had a thing for a while. I think it was in a 2.1 or 2.2 liter. Maybe it was even smaller than that.
Okay.
They had a motor called the High Swirl.
Okay. The Ford Taurus Show had a high swirl.
Not the show, but just the different. They had like weird shit like that. Yeah. So this fucking, I think it was a Ford Escort comes in. It has the high swirl, 2.3 or whatever. And so my buddy Tim, who's working with me at the shop, he goes, dude, what the fuck is this high swirl about? What's different? And I was like, well, see, every other engine is a low swirl. And this one's got a high swirl.
It does the swirl up on the higher
level.
level.
Does the swirl on the high. He's like, the fuck are you talking about, bro? And I was like, exactly. It means absolutely nothing.
It doesn't do
like,
anything.
Nothing. Not a goddamn thing.
What was the thing? What was the high swirl? What did
it was just a name.
They just decided to like, hey, new year, new engine name. This is the high swirl.
Exactly. It was all just a marketing thing. And you know, that would be my myth number 2 when buying a car.
Here it comes. We moved on. We segued. Here it comes. Number 2, finally. I know number 1 took us like 25 minutes, but that's because it was an important number 1. Don't buy bolt-ons for your car. Just get it tuned.
Get it tuned and move from there.
Number 2,
when buying a car, I don't give a shit what the side of the car says, okay?
Yeah.
Because I've seen, like, let's say, you know, Chevy's been pretty good about it. Ford is kind of all over the place.
Okay.
You go and get a Ford, it's an XLT, right? Which usually means it's a door and a half, right?
Okay, sure.
So the salesman's always going to be like, dude, this is an XLT. It's got so much room in it. And he all slaps the fucking top
fit
of the
so
car.
much fucking
He's
spaghetti
like,
in here.
fit so much spaghetti in here and fucking shit. Like, here's the thing, though, right? The XLT
has nothing.
You
for
could
room,
either
right?
get it, like, they go, the XLT, it's our premium package. Well, it's fucking not, because some
Okay.
XLTs come with cloth seats. Some come with
leather.
Some come with a 6-cylinder. Some come with a V8. Some come with a bigger V8. Some come with a smaller transmission. Some come with a bigger.
Some come with a touchscreen Navi. Some come with a
different-
5-disc changer,
I mean,
like that kind of thing.
The thing is when you're buying a car, don't believe what the guy's telling you, because I will tell you, and I have heard this, and I 100% believe it. If a guy is a good car salesman, he knows nothing about cars.
Right.
Because
he just wants to know about you.
The guy who knows cars, for instance, every tech I know, right? Man, I wish I was on the other side of the wall selling cars because they make a shitload of money. And they do. It's fucking ridiculous what they make. When I was working at Jennifer's, those guys made $100,000 a year.
God damn.
No problem. And the techs back here fucking breaking their backs and shit, only making like $4.
Oh, yeah.
So
on warranty work most of the time.
Yeah, right.
It's just like, you're not getting paid anything extra for this. It's just fucking warranted. Yeah. So here we go.
They say that a good car salesman knows nothing about the car, because if he does, he's not going to sell the car. And that's absolutely true.
Because he feels guilty for selling it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there are some cars that if you came to me, for instance, Becca, right? She goes, I was kind of looking at a Volkswagen. I said, no, absolutely not. Like, before she even finished her sentence, I was like, absolutely
There was one that she
was looking at. No.
She brought it up to me. She was like, I'm looking at this Volkswagen, and I looked at it and I was like, it's got good mileage. It's a current year. And I just told her the same. I was just like, I don't know anything about those cars. I was
care.
like, you should ask Chris about it and see what he has to say.
I would be a horrible car salesman.
Looks like a good car to me. And so like,
you come to me, you're like, man, I got $100,000 to spend on a car. And I was like, well, I happen to have a $100,000 car out here, but it's a pile of shit, and I'm not going to sell it to you. Here's a $10,000 Silverado that I'll sell it to you. It's got 210,000 miles. Transmission's already been done. The engine's been done. It's good to go.
Timing's good. Everything's
it's gonna last
good
you
to
a
go,
long time,
man.
right?
Yeah.
And so, the car salesman that knows nothing about cars, right? He's going to sell you a GMC Terrain because it's comfortable and it's good for your family and whatever. What he doesn't see is the guys on the other side of the wall working on them, putting CVT transmissions in them all the time. The front angle drives go out at 60,000 miles.
Yeah.
They have electrical issues at 100,000.
Having the industry problems for the cars.
Exactly.
Dude, yeah, that's a huge one. That makes so much sense. Like,
so when you buy a car, have a mechanic go with you, or, you know, send a mechanic some pictures. Like, we have, if they want to sell you a car, they should allow you to take it to a mechanic shop.
Yeah.
If you go, hey man, I want to test drive this, leave it with a mechanic, I may have to leave it overnight. Is that okay? If they say no, I'm going
you don't
to a
need the
different
car.
place.
Yeah, exactly. Because a trustworthy mechanic and a trustworthy vehicle, and a mechanic who knows that that's a good vehicle, isn't going to have any problem with that.
Yeah.
He's going to go, yeah, dude, take it to him. That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not going to foot the bill for it, but, like, you know, if you want to take it and get an inspection done for the $75 or whatever it costs to get it done and reassure yourself, go for it. Honestly, dude, if I would have done that with that fucking Legacy that I bought, that first Legacy that I got screwed on, if I would have done that and would have taken it for a test drive, dude, it would have saved me $6,500 is what it would have fucking saved me, because I would have taken it to Horizon, where I took it after I bought it, and they would have went, I think it was probably Mason, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like, yeah, dude, you have a rod knock. You should look into getting like... like a long block, you know, and like
I just happen to have a motor sitting out back. Like,
he's like, you know, we can do motor replacement for $1,750, and like, you know, I'll discount you some parts, and we'll use the stuff off of this engine, but you need a new block. And I'm like, bullshit. Like, no, I don't. I didn't believe the car. I didn't believe him, dude. I didn't fucking believe him. I was like, bullshit, dude. I don't need to fucking rod knock my ass. The fuck is rod knock? And then here I go into the fucking forums, dude, and that was what started. Yeah. That was what started my relationship with Subaru. And here I fucking am, still driving one, Chris, still fucking driving one, all right? I started my relationship with rod knock, which is probably why I have all this predisposition to have this fucking...
You're like, God, dude, this car's going to break down any minute. It's
going to blow up every day of my life. That car's going to fucking blow up, dude.
Here's the thing that kills me about some customers, right? And like, I can't be too mad because, you know, they don't do this for a living. They don't know, whatever. Yeah. But the thing that kills me, they go, well, this car's never done that before. Well, yeah, you never fucking wipe your ass before until you do. Like,
exactly. You know what I mean? Like, you don't replace a hole. You don't replace the wall until there's a hole in it, right? Yeah. So it never had a hole in it before, but now that it does, you want to replace it. Hey,
yeah, dude, shit breaks. Like,
that was that whole thing with the oil and the turbo line on there. It was like, dude, I just did the turbo on it, and it's like, well, yeah, you did, and then this problem happened. So yeah. I mean, your call, do it, you know, like...
So I guess it's not really a myth, but, like, a piece of advice, number 2...
That's
like,
the whole thing.
When you go to a car lot... Now, I'm not going to say every car salesman is bad. Okay, there's some guys who will, like... And, you know, there was one guy that I worked with over at Jennifer's, and he didn't last there that long because he didn't sell as many cars. But he was saying... Like, hey, we're looking for this specific vehicle. And he's like, look, I know you have your heart set on it. It's something you really like. And if you want it, I'll sell it to you. But, like, I'm going to have to go to bed tonight. You know what I mean?
Right.
He's like, I just know that these cars are going to cause you problems. He said, I have a comparable model that's this. It's going to serve you a little better. It may have higher mileage.
Oh, man,
or
that's
whatever,
too bad.
Like,
he's not with that company anymore. That's too bad because, like, he was the guy that was like, man, the reason why I'm not selling cars is because our cars are kind of shitty. And I don't want to sell somebody a fucking mistake, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, it's like, just be very cautious when going to buy a car. If you buy something off Facebook or Craigslist, again, take it to a mechanic shop. And some people even, they'll be like, well, no, I'm not going to let you test drive it. Take it to them. Because, you know, you can't trust anybody nowadays.
Right, sure enough. You never know if you're ever going to see them again. Yeah, you know, they might have a copy of your driver's license, but that doesn't mean you still can't drive the thing to fucking New York tomorrow. Like, right. You can still do that.
So, I mean, I would at least, you know, if I was dealing, like, let's say I was buying a car from you, I'd be like, hey, man, I really want to get it checked out. I'm really interested in the vehicle.
Yeah. I just need some reassurance.
Like, I'm going to call a shop. Would you mind just dropping it off for a day and then just have them give me a call, let me know what's up with it, and then, you know, kind of go from there. And some people will, some people won't. And I'll tell you, I don't care how cute the car is, ladies. If they will not let you take it to a mechanic and the bill is less than $1,000 to fix it, don't buy it.
Walk away.
100%.
Absolutely. Definitely walk away.
God, I'm trying to think of a myth here. I guess, like, here was one I actually got asked on TikTok today.
Okay.
So,
and not necessarily myths, but like anything, honestly, just like 5, like, hey, you know, a lot of people...
You should live by this in the
auto lot industry. Of people do this, or you may have heard this thing, but that's not how it is, like that kind of shit.
It used to be back in the day, they would say, if you haven't kept up on your transmission flushes, don't get it done. Ever again.
Because a new one
Because all of the grit and
shake
dirt
all that
and whatever
loose,
is going to shake it loose, and it's never going to shift right.
And the same thing could be said with coolant flushes, too. I've heard the same thing about radiator flushes.
Well, that's completely false. I
Seriously?
will tell you that 100%.
I've definitely heard that. Like, you shouldn't ever actually, like, completely flush your radiator because it'll cause all that shit to break up and, like, come through there. And I'm like, well, isn't that the whole point of a radiator flush, is to get all that shit out of there?
I kind of have the same view on both, and I'll tell you why they're a little different. So, with the transmission, that is 100% true. If you don't keep up on it, the grit and dirt and clutch material and whatever else, is keeping this transmission together. And this only applies to automatic transmissions. If it's a manual transmission, replace the fluid because it's all gear on gear.
You're moving it all the time anyways, right? Yeah, so it's fluctuating all the time.
If you wait 100,000 miles, which you should never do, and you're like, oh, I don't know, I might as well not change it now, and you have a manual, just go get it changed. It's fine. I did it on my Subaru. Got a front and rear diff change. The automatic transmissions relies on friction of clutches, and they have they're they're thin. They have 20 of them or something, depending on the transmission. But they will. They're absolutely right. All the contaminants in there kind of help them grip together and stuff.
Oh, really?
But here's the deal. If your transmission's that bad off that you have dirt and bullshit
built up on the gears,
get it rebuilt.
Yeah, it's time. It's time for a rebuild.
Are you gonna hop in that truck and drive to Florida in it? I wouldn't.
And that's, dude, I can vouch for that because I asked this guy about the condition of my Subaru and asked him if he would drive it to Idaho, and he literally told me he would drive it tomorrow. This was a few months ago when we were talking about this, but for an example, he just said he wouldn't drive a truck like that to Florida. Yeah. Well, so now he's being truthful. That's a real thing.
He was like, the guy was like, well, I've heard this, should I just not drain the fluid? And I was like, well, here's the deal, dude. If your transmission is that bad off that you're afraid that putting good fluid in it is going to mess it up.
Yeah.
If you're just driving around town, I guess just don't fuck with it. But if you plan to travel or pull a trailer or anything
that's going to stress it,
you need to change the fluid. And if it works out great. Awesome.
You're either going to pay for a new transmission or you're going to pay for a rebuild. It's coming regardless.
Exactly.
You just choose which one you want to do.
Yeah. So when it comes to the cooling system, I've never heard that before. As far as
literally
if you've
heard
never
that
serviced it, don't service it.
Yeah. I've heard that. Yeah, because it fucks shit up inside the radiator and stuff, and it just.
Here's what.
Again, if you're to the point where your radiator's got fucking rust and shit on the inside of the tubes, man,
it's $300 max.
Probably time for a new radiator, ladies and gents.
Yeah.
So, and radiators are pretty easy to replace. It's not very hard.
Yeah, I mean, on most vehicles.
They're at the front of most vehicles. I mean, most vehicles I've worked on, they're right at the front.
I did one on a Turbo PT Cruiser here a couple weeks ago, but the guy hit a dead deer, so the bottom core support was just
mangled.
Dude. Dude, I'm not kidding. I had the welder and grinder in there. Dude, it was a fuck fest.
Nice.
But so when it comes to the cooling system, with the transmission, you're talking about byproducts of the transmission coming apart, but still making it functional. When it's a cooling system, the byproduct of moving coolant is electrolysis.
Okay.
Which is not something that's natural to the system. So what happens with electrolysis, and a lot of newer coolants are better at keeping it from happening.
Okay.
But basically you're building, if you imagine rubbing your head on a balloon, right? You get kind of a static electricity on there.
Up. Yeah, sure.
You actually build electricity through the moving, the water pump and the fluid moving
because
through
of
metal.
The chemicals that it's made up of, or okay.
So obviously water is a conductor for electricity, right?
Yeah.
And every coolant has a little bit of water in it.
Sure.
I mean, you get 50-50 antifreeze, well, what's the other 50?
Well, that's
fucking water.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever you have movement, even rubbing your hands together creates heat.
Sure.
And that heat is the ions being...
the atoms moving faster. And yeah, okay. So, creating friction between each other and creating that, that movement. Yeah.
So in coolant, you have... electricity being built. I'm going to use electricity. They call it something else.
Basically, between the coolant and the hose that it's running through, or the component that it's running through.
Yeah, I mean the water pump, the engine block, the heads, the heater core.
Yeah, okay. That's a good way to describe it with the hand.
You're building electricity in there.
Sure.
And that electricity erodes away at aluminum, which is what a lot of radiators are made of.
Yeah.
So then... with all of that happening, right? So you're eroding your engine block, your head, your heater core, your radiator. You're also making the chemical compound of the actual coolant itself. That's eroding that away. So eventually you basically just have dirty water running through your stuff.
I see.
Which you just keep running and it's going to eat it and eat it and eat it and eat it and eat it. And so, I mean, it just wears out components anyway.
Oh, that's why coolant goes bad and like turns brown and shit because it's lost all of its ionization. And it's ionized too much.
Well, and it's picking up all the shit it's tearing apart.
Yeah, okay.
Here's the thing that I suggest, and I mean, God, I'm horrible about it on my truck. I do a coolant flush once a year.
Oh, really? Okay.
That's it. And usually right before winter, drain all the coolant out, and I don't even really flush it.
Like, you don't put pressure through. Maybe that's the myth that I was hearing, is when you do a flush, you're not supposed to put high pressure through
Well, it depends. So
maybe it was along those lines.
To be honest with you, I would rather not sell a coolant flush just because, well, here's the way. Okay, I'm just going to
We're going in. We're like
second.
3 steps deep at this point, everyone.
Well, back up a second. Okay, put it way back. When I bring my truck in, right, and I think I'm going to do it like next week or something, right before snow flies. I bring my truck into the shop, and I pull the lower radiator hose, and I let it drain, and I look. And if the coolant looks pretty clean, I'm just going to drain the whole thing, fill it up, and send it.
And run it, yeah.
If I notice that there's some brown or rust in it or something, I might flush it. But the reason that I would say that I hate selling a coolant flush is if you see rust, it's coming from somewhere.
Right, yeah.
So what components falling apart?
It's not coming from the coolant. It's coming from the coolant collecting rust somewhere and coming through the system.
Exactly. So so at that point, I'm like, okay, so I start eliminating items, right? Okay, well, I did the radiator last year. Did the water pump 2 years ago. Heater core I haven't touched. So I'm like,
might need to pull that bad boy
that's probably
out.
the next thing to go. So as far as a coolant flush, like people do a coolant flush because their coolant's dirty. Well, cool, dude. Like, what's falling apart? Like,
the coolant's going to get dirty again. That actually makes a lot of sense, yeah.
So I believe in don't get a coolant flush. But at the same time, like if you need one, why do you need one?
Yeah, it can actually help you kind of track down some problems if there's something going on.
Yeah, for sure.
That makes a lot of sense. Dude, see, that's why I like talking to you. This is like part of the whole reason I like talking to you is because I get to see things from an actual insider's perspective, and I love
a different point of view. And
yeah,
stuff.
like
I mean,
from an outsider, I know my way around an engine. I can get myself out of most binds, and I can, I've helped build engines and I've done all the things, but it's interesting to hear it from somebody who's like, you deal with it every day. You're in the field every day, so you develop these, just like I do with recording or doing these little things. You develop these little things that make your work faster, and you know how to find the problems a lot faster. I feel like a lot of mechanic work is it's problem solving. What is causing this to do this? You know, just like
absolutely.
with my car, why is it leaking oil? Well, it looks like it's coming from this thing. Yeah. Well, as we go to get to that thing, turns out it's not leaking from there. It's coming from a different spot that's up a little bit further. So we got to dig a little deeper.
Even being in it every day, sometimes it gets so much deeper than that. I mean, we had a guy who came in 2 weeks ago. He had a Chevy Silverado. It had, God, dude, this thing was miled out at 380,000 miles.
Oh
it's a 2008, dude.
On the original block?
Yeah.
God damn.
So here's the thing. He's like, yeah, it's got a misfire. I took it to some other shop.
You're like, probably.
And they said I needed a motor, and I think it's bullshit. And I go, well, okay. So I pulled into the shop. Fucking plugs, dude, are just old as fuck. I'm like, okay, well, maybe he does just need a tune-up. So I put the plug back in, hook up my scanner. Okay, it's misfiring on cylinder 2. So I then pull cylinder 2 spark plug out, and of course it's fucked off.
Just black as shit. It's fucked off, dude.
So then I'm like, okay, well, God, dude, I don't know. Those other guys said it needed an engine. They're not going to say that just to say that. I was like, so I better dig a little deeper here. So I hook a compression tester up to it, right? And so your compression tester, now anytime you do a compression test, you want to kill the fuel. So you want to pull a fuse for the fuel pump,
because you don't want any actual ignition. You just want to see how the thing's coming through.
Well, that and the fuel with not having spark can fuel wash the cylinder walls and actually erode the metal away, and you won't like it.
So you don't want to be dumping gas in there.
So usually what I'll do is I'll pull the fuel pump fuse, I'll start it, and then once it dies, because sometimes you'll have a little bit in the rail or whatever.
A little residualness.
Yeah, once it dies, I'll hook up my pressure gauge and go for it. So the pressure gauge, you'll crank it. I listen for the motor, and you'll kind of they kind of have a rhythm, right? So the dun 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 dun. So I'll count 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, and then I'll cut it off. And you can watch the compression gauge usually, 0, 5, 60, 20, whatever, and it goes up, and then you take your measurement, and then you move on to the next cylinder, whatever. So,
and they should all be relatively the same, right? They should be real close to each other. Each cylinder should be like...
Typically, they give you a tolerance of like 5 PSI.
Okay, sure.
So plus or minus.
Pretty damn close.
Yeah. So on this one, I hooked up my compression tester. Hey, Mason, go ahead and fire that up. So he's sitting there doing 2, 3, 4, 5. And I go, holy shit, dude, what the fuck? And I mean, sometimes you'll see it bump to like 20 and 0, 20 and 0, 20 and 0. So you're like, okay, well, there's obviously a problem.
And then it spikes or what?
No, the problem with this one is it went 0, -20, -20.
Oh,
0,
negative?
So, it was pulling vacuum. I'm like, what the?
Why
which here's the thing. I didn't realize it until I was sitting there thinking about it, right? I've seen this before. I just never hooked a compression gauge up to it, right? So I was like, okay, well, this is obviously fucked up.
Yeah.
So I was like, there's no
not only is it not making compression, it's actually doing the opposite, and it's actually pulling vacuum.
You're like, dude, what?
What the fuck?
So come to find out, the push rod was bent because of a collapsed lifter, which ruined the cam.
Jesus.
So now you're like, okay, well, we had super shitty plugs. We could have put plugs in it and would have done the same thing.
Uh-huh.
So then you're like, oh, well, it's got a bent push rod. Well, then you put a push rod in it,
it'll do
the same thing.
Because
so,
the camshaft is bad.
It's got a clap lifter. A collapsed lifter.
So
then you put a lifter in it, and you're like, fuck, dude, it still runs like shit. And then you pull the cam out and go, oh, well, this is fucked. And then you pull the cam out and you notice that all the guides for the cam and the block are fucked off.
Because it fucking rotated in there and fucked everything else
up. So it's all
up.
unbalanced and doing crazy
shit. So, you need a new engine. Your block is fucked.
I mean, mechanic, and it's so... And, God, I try to tell people, right? And I'll sell them, like...
How hard is it, to sell an engine as a mechanic?
It's
Someone tried to sell me
hard.
one in a Subaru, and honestly, I should have probably fucking done it, because then I wouldn't have this goddamn silver headache sitting in the backyard. But yeah, same thing. I know what that's like. Like, from your shop, dude, I know what that's like. He tried to tell me, and I was like, fuck you. And he was totally right.
Like, there's some things that, like, for instance, like, I go to do an axle on a truck, right? And I tell him, I was like, hey, man, we had your truck in here. We got the oil change done for you. We know some front end issues. Your axle boot's leaking grease all over the place. It's like making some noise when you turn.
Yep.
It's going to cost you this much, but I'm also going to suggest sway bar links. He goes, oh, why are they bad? Well, no, they're not bad.
But since we're in there.
But there's a very solid possibility that when I go to pull the axle out, that I'm going to have to make room, and I'm going to have to pull a sway bar link out, and if it breaks, then we're covered. I'm like, this is just worst case. If I don't have to put sway bars in it, I'm not going to do it.
I won't charge you for them.
But this is just worst case scenario. And people get all...
It's one of those...
Well, you're just trying to sell me something I don't need. And you're like, well, dude, I'm just trying to prepare you because I don't want to call you later and be like, hey, bro, I fucked something up. Like, and it's not really my fault.
Can I charge you more now? Like,
yeah.
Where I'm covering you on the front end going, hey, we're going to buy these things. Because there's a chance that they could get fucked up. And if they do, it's better to just have them on the front end and go, well, now you've got new ones anyways.
And then the customers you don't do that to, like we... God, I pissed a guy off so bad, but I don't even care. He never came back. I was like, good. But he was like, hey, man, you guys did... I forget what it was, like a head gasket or something. You guys did a head gasket. Now my axle's all fucked up. And like I think it's related because you guys had to pull the motor.
Yeah, we didn't have to pull the axle, bubs.
I mean, technically on a Subaru, we do pull the engine and trans out as one piece.
Oh,
so the axles come out.
Oh, okay.
But here's the thing. Mason didn't tell him ahead of time.
Do you go from the top or from the bottom? Just as
the top.
Do you? You just pull the whole thing out of the thing, huh?
Yep.
Okay.
Dude,
interesting.
I've seen him start on a Subaru, let's say at 1 o'clock. By 1:30, the engine and transmission are sitting on.
What an asshole, dude!
Like
we need to when I do a clutch, we're gonna have him come to the garage and just like. Just do some guidance on some things, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Like, hey, Mason, come on over really quick. I got beer and pizza, dude.
And it wasn't Mason. This was when I was at Mechanics Pride.
I forget who it was,
but he goes, yeah, now my axle's all fucked up. He's like, well, dude, it's not really related to the head gaskets. I mean, yeah, we did touch them, but God, dude, that was 50,000 miles ago.
Oh, shit. It was
Like,
that long ago?
Yeah.
Oh, dude,
So the guy's like, well, yeah, but you were, like, in there and you touched it, so I think it should be covered. So, of course, they cover it, like, just encouraging the guy.
Yeah, right.
And then now his, like, brakes are going bad, and he's like, oh, well, you guys had to touch those, too. And so I talked to the guy, and I was like, dude, okay, you know what? Next time you come in for an oil change, I'm going to charge you for a hood latch, the oil filler cap, the filter housing, the oil pan.
A new set of headers, because I got to touch the headers also. So, like, those go around
like,
the oil filter.
Fucking door handles, the door, the steering wheel, the gas pedals,
new
the brake.
ignition, new fucking steering wheel.
What the fuck do you want from me, dude? Like,
new gauge cluster. I need to touch everything, dude. What do you want?
It's like, yeah, I got to touch stuff to get the job done. Like, I don't know what you want from me. So he was like, oh, you don't have to be such a sarcastic. I was like, dude, you're being a fucking dick. He was like, well, good. I'm just not going to come back. I was like, see
later,
ya.
dude. Good luck getting your fucking axle fixed somewhere else.
So, I guess myth number 4, Mobil 1 has come out with their 1-year oil, right?
Oh,
so
no, what?
So they're claiming that you can go 1 year without changing this oil.
Oh, we just lost the GoPro. We lost the GoPro. It only had a few hours on it, so hopefully I think we might end up losing that one here shortly. It looks like the battery thing's coming down.
Oh,
down to
yeah,
a thing.
it is.
Yeah, it looks like we're getting low on both.
You got batteries? You want to change batteries?
I literally don't have batteries for either of them.
Oh, okay. Well,
but we talked out the fucking cameras, which
we did.
we can always do another one too. So
we can always do audio.
If this does cut out, I'm just gonna throw I'll throw the
some visuals.
I'll throw the visual up for the end of the podcast and probably throw up like the ending cutscenes or whatever. And then for anyone that wants to listen, it will just continue in audio. And whenever we might run out Cubase also, but if we do that, well, that'd be a first for me. So I'm not gonna be bummed either way. So if we lose visuals,
thanks for sticking with us this long.
Thank you guys. If we lose visual, just stick with us because we'll keep the audio as long as we can. Just know that we ran out the batteries on the cameras, so this is just kind of where we're at now. So.
Yeah. So,
but I'm sure we'll find our way out of this at some point. We'll figure it out. So we're on myth number 4.
Myth number 4. Mobil 1 says that with this new oil formula that you can go 1 year without changing the oil. Now, here's the thing. Theoretically, on paper, they're correct. 100% right. The oil won't break down as fast as other oils. It'll last longer. The lubrication qualities are better.
Okay.
Here's the problem, right? So, have you ever just changed your oil at routine maintenance and notice it's black?
Every 3,750 miles.
Yes.
Which is way before routine on my Subaru. I change it.
Yeah.
And it's black every time.
Yeah.
Not like gross, like not like the side of that cabinet black, but like it's dark.
It's dark.
It's dark.
So typically the dark is like carbon deposits and other just random stuff.
Sure.
So here's the thing with the crankcase being the crankcase, they can't seal it because it builds too much pressure. Right?
Okay.
If they seal it, you blow windows in the block and all sorts of stuff.
Oh, okay.
So they have what's called the PCV valve, right? And the PCV is the pressure control valve.
I replaced that on the Subaru.
So what that does is it allows the gases to come out, whatever, and it goes into the air intake, and then it gets reused in through your motor.
Right, yeah.
Well, here's the deal. This is also another myth. A cold air intake, like going back to number 1, doesn't really do shit for you.
It doesn't give you any more power.
And here's the one thing I will tell you from Chevy Silverados, because they have a very picky throttle body.
Okay.
Those cold air intakes will dirty your intake faster than anything else out there.
Really?
Yes.
Wow, okay.
Now
Other than way more than the factory airbox.
Yeah.
I assume because you're on an exposed cone at that point.
Well, yeah.
So.
And it makes sense because they're like, well, this cold air intake is supposed to help the engine get more air. Well, to get more air, you have to allow bigger holes for the air to travel through.
Yeah, you have to uncover your airbox, which is going to allow
contaminants,
more particles,
dirt and whatever.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, that all makes it into the oil system by some way or another eventually, too.
Okay.
So, okay, sure, your oil lasts 1,000,000 miles. Sick. Now it's full of crap.
Yeah, like really full of crap.
Like, there's some guys that are like, oh, my car says it doesn't have, what is it I ran into the other day? Mercedes. they recommend oil changes every 7,200 miles, depending on what it is.
Jesus, really? That's a long
7,200 miles is a long ways. I mean, diesels typically run 75. So, like in that amount of time, you're building up a lot of carbon deposits. There's a lot of contaminants in there, and you're just running it through your motor, which wears out your parts faster.
Yeah.
And the thing you notice is as cars are getting newer and newer and newer, they push that maintenance out further and further and further.
Is it because they're using...
And it's because they're waiting for that to come out of warranty, right? So all the contaminants in your oil wear down. You know, if you have a turbo, it wears out the journal bearings. It wears out the crank bearings.
Dude, that's some shady shit.
Oh, dude, they've been doing it for years.
That's shady as fuck. Built to break, right?
Yeah.
Built to break.
So they wait till it's out of warranty, right? Then your motor gets fucked at like 150,000. Well, it's got 150,000 miles on it, dude. You
might as well get a new car.
You're not going to put a motor in it. You're going to go back to that same dealer you bought that pile of shit from before and get a new car.
You're going to get a new one. You're going to trade that one in for way less than what it's actually worth, and then you're going to get a new car.
Yeah, I mean,
for
it's
way
got
more.
a fucked up motor. It's only worth the fucking
well,
paperweight
at that point,
and shit.
yeah, I guess
but
at that point, yeah.
So that's one of the things that I've started to notice is they'll push it out further and further and further. And it's like, well, sure, the oil technology has gotten better and it doesn't break down as much and whatever, but like it doesn't matter. You're getting contaminants in it.
Yeah.
There's explosions going on in your motor, it creates carbon.
Dude, you throw one chunk of fucking metal in there and you're ruining your entire fucking engine in 1 second. Talk to any Subaru owner. They'll fucking tell you that. Talk to any Subaru owner.
Yeah, so that's myth number 4. Don't fall for the 1-year oil changes.
Read your manual and change it when your manual tells you. There's a reason.
I wouldn't do it.
But that's the thing. Like, that's why I go, Subarus are 5,000 miles. You're supposed to change them at 5,000 miles. 3,750. I do it at 3,750 because I feel like,
you're just getting ahead of it.
1,250 miles ahead of the oil change is just, it just keeps things fresh. Yeah. You're not worried about timing shit. You're not worried about it fucking anything else up. You're not worried about the clumps. It's just like, it's good. It's fine.
Now here's the thing. Like, a lot will say 3,000 miles. 3 months, 3,000 miles is the typical, non-synthetic, just get your oil change.
Yeah.
Which, non-synthetic or synthetic, I'm changing it at the same time.
Yeah, okay.
I because of the contaminants and all that again. Like, I don't give a shit what kind of oil it is.
Sure. Oil is oil. It still needs change.
Yeah. So typically what I do and a lot of guys work at a shop and they write stickers out for 3,000 miles and don't even think about it.
They just put an arbitrary number on there. Whatever's on the cluster plus 3,000, that's your next service.
Here's the thing they don't realize. Realistically, I think a good spot to change your oil is 3,500.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
That 3,000 miles gives you... Like, oh shit, dude, I'm at 3,000 miles. I got to change my oil. You still have that extra 500 miles that you don't know about.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Sure, yeah.
So that's just one thing that I've noticed that I tend to see you get the most out of your oil at 3,500 miles. Oh. If you're not running synthetic, you can start to see it start to break down.
I was right in the ballpark then, just on my own intuition. I was I was like 3,750 is where I'm changing. I don't care every time.
So I don't care. The only exception I'll make is a diesel. Just because, well, if it's a Power Stroke, get it changed to 3,000.
Okay.
I don't give a shit what Power Stroke says, 75, 7,800, 3,000.
That's a lot, yeah.
Because, in every diesel, they fire their injectors off of oil pressure. They use oil pressure to fire the injectors.
Oh, okay.
So, and that's a whole nother cool thing we could talk about, but we don't have time for that.
We got another podcast some other day for sure. Dude, we could talk so much more. I could do an entire podcast with you about finally lost the camera.
We lost it.
But I could do an entire podcast with you literally just talking about my Subaru, and I know that I know that you know that we could do that. I don't know I don't know if you want to do that one, but we definitely could.
Well, just get it changed. The oil does so much for your motor. It's
the blood. The oil is the blood of your engine, right?
And I understand with a diesel not getting it changed as often because, God, dude, it's $120 oil change. I mean, it takes, Power Strokes take 17 quarts of oil. A Cummins takes 12.
Dude, I was talking to my buddy who just bought a big diesel truck like that. And he told me, he was like, yeah, it's 14 and a half quarts of oil to change it. And I was like, excuse me?
Yeah,
I was like,
right?
My little dinky Subaru takes 4.2 quarts of oil.
Yeah.
According to the manual. I put in a little bit more than that. But 4.2 quarts. 4.2 quarts. Yours takes 10 more quarts than that. That's insane. I was like, so an oil change for you for people like that, it's easier for them to like go to a shop and get an oil change because shops get oil at cost, right? So like the oil is going to be way cheaper there. Buying 17 quarts of oil from the fucking shelf, dude.
So like typically, and I mean, there are shops that will, and I mean, I guess it depends on what kind of shop you run.
Like discount for the quantity of oil you're buying.
Like our shop, I think, if I remember correctly, if I'm doing my math right, the price that we buy the oil at is discounted, right?
Sure.
But then the price, let's say you go into Napa and buy the same exact brand oil and you buy a gallon of it. It's going to cost you the same for that gallon of oil at Napa or our store.
Even though you guys get it for less because we got to
make something.
You guys got to make money on it, dude. Yeah. You guys are working. Yeah, so that makes sense. That makes sense.
So like it doesn't matter either way, and we do all of our parts that way. If a water pump for your Subaru is, $250 in Napa, we're going to charge you $250.
Oh, okay.
Because then you have shops like, for instance, Mechanics Pride, right? It didn't matter what the part was, you mark it up 2.5. So if it was a $400 part, we're selling it for $850.
Oh.
So
wow, holy shit. Okay.
And here's the problem you run into. They go, well, I just went down to Napa and I saw it for $600. It's like, well, yeah, we got it for $400. We could sell it for $600 and still make $200.
We're also going to put it in for you. Like we're also going to do.
Well, and that's a totally different. Like the labor's way different.
Yeah.
It's like just the markup on the part. I think as far as if you're running a shop, you mark the part up to where it matches what street price is, because like if they go to a shop and they're going to charge more than what they could just go buy the part for, why go there?
Right.
You might as well buy the part yourself. Take it to
a shop,
and then they're going to go, well, there's no warranty on it because
I was going to say, but then it has to do with warranties, right?
So
essentially, when you're buying a part for more to shop, you're buying a warranty on that part. That's pretty much like an upcharge is a fucking warranty, whether or not really what it comes down to. It's just like we can use my car for an example. Like I just paid you guys a certain amount of money for the work that you did on my car. Well, that work comes with a warranty on it. So like now it's like, hey, I've got this thing going on with the car. You're like, dude, bring it back up. You're under warranty. Just bring it back up.
And this was the thing that I was saying. It's like.
You guys didn't overcharge me for my parts either. I looked at the parts. I looked at the cost on Subaru, and then I looked at the cost on my work order,
and they're
it's
exactly
the same fucking number. It's literally the same number.
Yeah.
So
and that's what I'm saying. Like it makes the customer feel better about, okay, you know what? It didn't matter whether I bought it from Subaru or these guys.
I paid the same amount.
It didn't.
You guys might have got it for $100 less than that, but I would have.
Subaru fucks us, dude.
I can, maybe bad example, but yeah. But like, even if you guys get it at a discount, it makes sense because if I were to go to them, that's what they're going to charge me, and then I'm going to have to do the work anyways. It might as well pay that same amount from you guys, and now not only do I have that part,
and you're getting the warranty.
It's
for
insured,
free.
Bitch. Yeah. So I get a free warranty. So if something happens to it. In 3, 4, 5 in a month, I can bring that car back and go, hey man, this thing happened. Can you guys take a look at it?
Yeah,
and it's free work. Like
absolutely.
That's where I see the value in the biggest value in taking your car to a professional. Like, yeah, man, you're gonna pay for it, but you know why you're gonna pay for it is because they guarantee their work.
Exactly.
And if it's not guaranteed, you bring it back and they do the work for free.
For sure.
That's really in my opinion, that's what it comes down to.
So. Final myth, number 1.
Last one.
And then we're going to talk about Goodyear real quick.
Oh, yeah, the tires.
The NASCAR tires. And then we're going to close it out.
All right, let's do it. So, number 1, biggest myth or biggest no-no or stop doing it or...
You're going to laugh.
Whatever it is. I'm ready.
Number 1, biggest myth is your cousin cannot do it better. Okay? I don't give a shit if your uncle brother's cat fucking is a mechanic.
Shout out Brian Greenlee. He's a great mechanic, man, and he's like built this fucking sweet ass Charger from the ground up, and he's awesome. But it's just fucking funny that you say that.
This is the thing. God, I've had this, and please don't ever say this to a shop. If you believe it, just believe it and take it to your cousin, brother, whatever the fuck.
Sure, yeah. If he can do it better, let him do it better.
Don't. Oh my God, dude. It can, I cannot tell you how many times someone will get off the phone talking to a customer and they're like, dude, you won't fucking believe what this bitch just told me. Okay. So let's say we have a car in here, right? Let's just use that guy's truck for an example. He needed a motor, right?
Yep, down.
He's like, well, my uncle, he was a mechanic for 50 years and he says I should just do a tune-up. It's like, well, cool, okay. But He's not fucking here looking at it like I am,
Yeah.
dickhead. I got your truck tore apart all in the shop. I know exactly what's wrong with it. I have a parts list.
And
Like,
and bet this.
And to be honest with you, I don't want to work on your pile
Yeah,
of shit
no
anyway.
shit. It needs a new fucking motor, and I don't want to put that bitch in. And bet if your fucking uncle was here standing next to me looking at the same problem, he'd probably be telling you the same fucking thing, dude.
Exactly.
With this shit torn apart and looking at it, he'd go, well, shit, you probably want to put a new motor in it.
Yeah, like...
No shit, dude.
Like, I'm sorry, Karen, that it doesn't agree with your fucking husband's brother. Like, I am standing right here looking at it.
Bro,
okay?
do you want me to hold your hand and bring you into the bay and show you what I'm looking at? Because, like, I'm not lying to you, dude.
Does your uncle help you wipe your ass, too? Like, is this where we're at, dude? Is it this bad?
You still have, like, the fucking rubber trainer seat that goes over the toilet at his house? Or, like, how does that shit work, dude?
I cannot say, and I will tell you right now that you say that to a mechanic shop and your car gets moved to the back of the list. They're like, dude, we don't want to fucking deal with this shit today. Like, that sounds like a Monday thing. Monday already sucks. Let's just throw it on Monday.
Yep, not going to do it today.
Like, dude, fucking Jesus Christ. I cannot stand that.
So, yeah, don't walk into a mechanic's shop and tell the mechanic that someone in your family can do it better. Because, honestly, you're wasting your time and you're wasting, more importantly, the mechanic's time. Because he knows that your cousin can do it better.
Like...
He knows.
Like here's the thing, right? If your cousin really thinks it's this and you really think it's that as well, and a shop tells you something different, take it to another shop.
Just take it to another shop.
Have them look at it. If they say the same thing as shop number one,
well, you got
your cousin's now outvoted.
See, and now you've got a group of...
it may even be worth going to a third shop.
Yeah.
Okay? And you know what? That's fine.
If you got to get consensus, go get it.
I will tell you, if the shop is a good shop and the guy who owns it isn't a dick or whatever, the guy at the front counter, and you go, you know what, like, I really appreciate you guys looking at my car today or whatever, you know, and if they have a diag fee, pay your diag fee, whatever, and just be like, you know what, I just want to get a second opinion. I want to make sure before I spend this money that it's really what you guys say it is. Like, it's not that I doubt your ability. I just want to get another set of eyes on it. They're going to say, you know what, that's perfectly fine. I understand. They're going to hand you your keys and out the door you go. So, I mean, just being straight up and being like, hey, dude, like, this just doesn't feel right to me, but if it is what it is, then, you know, I
asked these guys, they said this, and, like, it's good to give your second opinion, like, a lead on what the first guy said, too. Like,
to be honest, I wouldn't say anything.
Or just go, I would just
go in and say, hey, man, this is my complaint, my car's doing this, and just see what he says.
Yeah. Or even, like you said on the new car thing, just go in and just go, hey, I just need a once-over. Even if you already have info from the first guy, just go, I just need a once-over on this. Tell me what you think.
Because you want an honest opinion. You don't want to influence his opinion based on what these guys said.
I see. You don't want to send him off right away just going, oh, just look at this one thing and then tell him yes or no.
Because if these guys said you need a motor, right, guys number 2 see dollar signs.
They go, shit. Well, yeah, just pop the hood and go.
We're just going to find our guy who's, like, rebuild motors at a junkyard, and we know we can get our motors cheaper than them. So they don't give a shit what's wrong with your car. They're just going for a motor. They did all the work already for the diag.
Now we're just trying to get the work.
Yeah. So you don't want to go in giving them any influence based, towards their diag.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know, you go, hey man, this thing's misfiring. Like, I don't know what's going on. Just check it out.
Yeah.
And then see what they come back with.
Okay. That's smart. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually. Yeah. Don't give them any leads into that, for sure. Yeah,
for sure. So, good year.
So that was 5. I don't know. I don't know if I could list all the 5 off the top again. I know the first one was don't bolt shit onto your car.
Yeah. Number 5. Bolt-on turbos don't work. Get a tune. I mean, they do, but tune is better.
Yeah. Number 4.
Number 4 was
oil something, or was that 3? I think that was 3.
Number 2 was oil, and then I don't remember, dude. Number 4.
We'll go back and look.
Yeah, we'll have to go back and look.
We'll go back and look at them.
You know what? Insert visual here.
Yeah, exactly. I'll put a thing up in the thing during the video.
Yeah.
On our last one, and I'll just put this is the checklist before all the visuals end and all that shit.
Make sure that you talk to a mechanic before buying a car.
That was number 4. Number 4 was don't get swindled by a used car dealership guy. Yep. Just because
always get it checked.
Just
out.
Because it says FXT doesn't mean it's an actual FXT. Just FX because it says WRX with new turbo doesn't mean that it's a WRX with a new turbo.
Exactly.
Number 3 was When you're going,
Transmission flushes, coolant flushes, stuff like that. That might have been number two. And
that was
oil
number two. Number
one.
3 was when you're going to do upgrades on your car and you want to take a car and like make it a street, like a badass street car. The first thing you want to do on your upgrades is suspension and braking.
100%.
Suspension and braking keep your car on the ground.
Yep.
Number 2 was regular oil changes at 3,000 miles. Well, yeah, you said 3,500 miles was like the most efficient that you've seen.
Yeah.
So regular that, and it is not a myth to have your coolant flushed. In fact, it's good for you. So just do that. Also get your transmission fluid flushed, and just ask a mechanic, man. Just ask a professional. If you're not sure about the buildup and the grime on your differentials and all that shit, just ask them. They'll tell you, man.
Now, here's the thing about flushes, right? If you're going to a quick shop like a lube shop or even like Brake Stop, any of those chain, they're gonna sell them to you whether you need them or not.
Okay.
And here's
because
the
it's
thing,
a package deal kind of thing.
You want to stay away from those because those guys who are working in the shop get paid very little, and they get paid more for each flush they sell. So they're already starving, these guys, right? They can barely afford their bills and everything. They sell a flush. They're literally making them lie to you so they can pay them more. Okay. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So, which just makes the guy up top money
to try and pay their employees.
So,
more, if that makes
like,
sense.
I used to work for a store like that. Like, I was going to work for a dealership, and I wasn't feeling the vibe there. I will tell you, independent, family-owned shops are the number one places that are going to be honest with you every time.
Oh, okay.
Because they don't... I mean, sure, they want to make a profit. Like, they're
there to make money.
Live
That's
and
why
eat.
they're in business.
There to make money. But, like, they know that the most important thing is a returning customer. And they don't want to...
They don't want to ruin a relationship on one bad experience and never get money from that guy again. They'd rather have him keep coming back for even minor shit.
Yeah.
I need an oil change. I need a coolant flush. I need this and that.
And we've had customers come in and say, hey, man, I need a brake flush. We're like, no, you don't. You're good. Have it. He's like, well, I really want to get it done. Dude, I'm telling you, it's not worth the money.
Come back in 500 miles
Don't worry about
ask
it.
again, you know?
He's like, well, are you sure, man? I got a big trip. No, dude, it's fine. Just take the keys. Get the fuck out of here.
Go.
Like,
you're good.
Like,
take our word for it. You're good. So, yeah, so number 2 is oil changes and coolant changes regularly, and just keep your vehicles serviced and maintained. And then the number one was...
Is Mobile One.
Oh, yeah. Don't trust companies that say that you can leave your oil in for a year.
Yeah.
Because you can't. Just don't do it.
You can't.
You fucking can't do it. All right.
So...
And now we're on to the tires thing that we've been holding off on for a long time.
So, Goodyear had them a meeting at the corporate office. Now, they do have Goodyear stores that are like mechanic shops and stuff.
Yeah, like full service stores or whatever.
Yeah. That wasn't these. These were their corporate offices, right?
Okay.
So the guys that make everything run. They they had a sensitivity meeting, right? So basically saying, hey man, if you're in the lunchroom and you're white and a black guy walks in, you are obligated to get up and give him your seat. Okay. Which, you know, if you're being a nice guy, cool. But, like, to make a company rule saying, hey, man, as a white guy, you gotta watch your shit. You know what I'm saying? Okay. You gotta give away your seat to the black guy because you're white. Okay?
All right.
So then they also said, well, any MAGA hats, American flags, any of that is all banned from property. Right?
Okay.
Which... if you want to be neutral, cool. But, you know, they had like a big Biden-Harris thing out on their front lawn, whatever. So they were really just trying to be really one-sided.
Okay.
Like, we want to represent this.
Push your agenda.
We don't want our employees, you know, conflicting and representing this.
Yeah.
So a guy came out of this meeting. He's like, dude, I can't believe this shit I'm hearing. So he went to the media about it, right? So now Goodyear's like, oh, fuck, dude. So... what happened to this employee is he had an American flag on the back of his truck, and they told him, hey, we had that meeting, you can't have that. This is a warning. So he's like, I guess it is their company, they can run it any way they want.
Sure, yeah.
So he takes American flag out. He has a MAGA hat on the dash of his truck. They fired him over it.
Huh.
Right? So he goes to try to take him to court. Now they're all trying to hush him up, right? So they try to offer him a deal, and he's like, oh, I'm not going to take the deal. I'm not going to take the deal. So then it comes out to the public that this meeting happened.
Sure.
And this guy kind of blew the whistle on the whole deal. And so now Goodyear's shit in their pants, right? They're like, well, fuck. Well, mainstream media is kind of back in the whole, Biden Harris, Black Lives Matter type thing. So they're going to back us up on that, saying that like all these other guys are insensitive to, our black employees or our Democratic employees or whatever. Well, then NASCAR heard about it and they go, if you're not going to be pro-American, we don't want your tires on our cars.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit.
You talk about, dude, $10 billion a year. $10 billion a year in tires.
Oh, my God.
Goodyear just shat themselves, dude. They're like, oh, fuck. So they're trying to retract all the statements. They're deleting emails, getting rid of paperwork. I mean,
what?
Deleting security footage of all this. I mean, they're
so
just... So
what you're telling me is right now is the time to buy Goodyear stock because it's super low.
Well... So they're backtracking on all of this, and like I think NASCAR is going to try to phase that. I think I've heard rumor, and I don't know that any of it's true, okay? This is just what I've read on the internet, but I've heard rumor that NASCAR within the next 5 years may transfer from Goodyear to either Pirelli or Continental.
Oh, shit.
Which would be kind of cool. I mean,
Continental's good. I like
really
their tires, for sure, man. I have Firestones on my car right now.
Yeah.
They're good tires. I heard that the whole thing with their blow-up controversy and all the things with like, Firestone tires were the ones that exploded.
Yeah.
No, it's because...
It was only on Ford Explorers
It was because Ford fucking bought the wrong tires for their fucking vehicles. And when
they went cheap and put 4-plies on.
And when Firestone was like, "Hey, you shouldn't do that," they were like, "Oh, fuck you, we're gonna put them on there anyways. It's not your guys' choice." And they were like, "Okay, well, you guys gave us this huge check, so I guess we have to do the thing." Yeah. And so that's why, I didn't know that until I actually got the tires on my car because I asked the guy at the Firestone. I was like,
believe it or not, Donut Media does an episode exactly on that.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, they have an episode for everything.
I love it. I learned so much just from the salesman. That guy. I'm glad that he knew the story because I learned. And I was under the impression that like, oh yeah, dude, you don't buy Firestones because that shit explodes.
I will say
it wasn't their fault; it was Ford's fault.
I tend to shy away just because Firestone and Michelin, I will not buy their tires.
Really?
Just because they have really flimsy, flexible sidewalls. Oh, okay. Now they do ride really well. I mean,
my car does great.
Cool,
it does great. It feels like it handles. It definitely handles way better than the tires that I had on before that, but it makes sense. The tires that I had on before there had shit grip, so yeah, they were worn down. So
yeah, Goodyear's going through a bit of a deal here.
Little litigation going on there,
yeah, huh? And I mean, my shop, Jason, straight up, he's like,
no more
we're not
Goodyear.
Selling Goodyear, not anymore. So they are losing so much business over this whole deal.
Damn.
So like, I would be I'm really gonna watch here within the next 2 to 3 years to see what they do, because if they can't save that NASCAR contract, they're gonna be in trouble.
Their whole company's gonna be.
They're gonna be in real trouble.
Yeah, it'd be like if any sponsor lost the NFL. If one of those sponsors lost the NFL, they'd be in big trouble, man.
They're done.
Bud Light, Budweiser, like Aquavista, or whatever those big sponsors are.
Here's the crazy thing about Goodyear, right? The NASCAR tires that they put on those, the Goodyear tires they put on those NASCARs.
Yeah.
Their rubber compound that they use, they want to keep a secret so bad that if you're racing and you blow a tire,
they'll come out and like
they
sweep
have
it all
a guy. They sweep up all the shavings, every little chunk of rubber, and you have to every
puts
tire
it in a bag and brings it to the Goodyear truck and puts it on the truck.
Yeah, every tire that dude, when you take your NASCAR to the track, those drivers don't take those tires home. They have a separate set of wheels and tires that go on the car when they take them home. Those tires
pull
are
them off
locked.
and then drive.
Dude, it is like the Pentagon to fucking get those tires.
It's like Colonel Sanders' fucking recipe, right? Dude? Like there's no finding out those spices, man.
Yeah. Dude, it is wild. And I've always wondered, I was like, well, yeah, you don't want debris on the track, right? No. Goodyear's like, no, we don't want people getting a sample of it. Like, what?
That's wild, man.
Yeah.
That's got to be some secret rubber elixir that just going to be it passed down for centuries and
it withstands 80 laps at 200 miles an hour.
Right?
I mean, that's impressive.
There's a reason they're all rocking the Goodyear shield on the side of their tires, right? Like they've clearly figured something out, but ain't no one going to know. Nope. They're probably gonna take that shit to the grave with them too. I bet that's gonna be there. That's if something does shake down, that'll be the bane of the industry. It's like, well, we have the secret. Good luck getting tires that hold up.
Yeah, I mean, Continental builds the tires for the Bugatti Veyron.
So they've got a hand in it for sure.
Well, if you watch the Donut Media video on that, dude, they are insane. Like fuck, dude.
Okay, so Donut Media. I need to look into that because I haven't. But
Yeah.
I need to check them
You'll
out.
enjoy their content.
I bet I will.
It's good.
My content, my YouTube feed gets more and more full of car shit every single day, whether it's repair videos or upgrade videos or shitbox rebuild videos or whatever it is. So yeah, the list keeps compiling. So yeah, man, let's you want to wrap it up? I mean,
yeah, man, we can wrap it up.
Let's definitely have you back on because we could delve into a whole other world of shit. I could.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk cars. We could talk. We briefly touched on me being in a band. We could talk about that stuff.
Yeah, we didn't even get to. This is technically a musical podcast. That I didn't get to talk to you about being in a band because I got hooked on the engine shit.
Hooked on cars. And
I wanted to fucking drill you about the motor shit while I had you in the room. So
cars are so much fun.
They are, dude. Engines are a really fucking wild thing. Like I said, I have mad respect for engines and the automotive industry itself, just because of the technology that's involved. I feel like it gets really overlooked a lot, and it's like this incredible, like really miraculous thing that's happening every second underneath your feet, and people just look past it every day. Like it's just my portal from A to B.
God, it's like, dude, it's wild.
There's so many beautiful things happening, all in sequential timing, like perfectly to make it
milliseconds
happen.
Off,
literally,
your motor's
like
done.
Lifters, people. Like lifters are some of the craziest things. I mean, they work so quick, and they just make everything happen basically.
Yeah,
and they send all the fuel in, and they fucking make all the shit like.
Yeah, move valves.
It's just It's just a wild fucking engineering marvel, man. Like the engine is just we could do a whole fucking episode about gearboxes alone, just gearboxes, man. That's something that I don't understand at all.
And that's the crazy thing. I've been in this 7 years, and when it comes to transmissions and like why they work, like manual transmissions make sense. It's just you're moving a gear.
It's kind of like a mountain bike, right? So you move the gears on different sprockets, and they get smaller and smaller to make shit faster and faster, right?
Like automatic transmissions blow my mind. Like I don't understand
sensors and like weird.
I mean, I know how they work, but yet I have no idea
like CVT transmissions and stuff. Yeah, that's
I know how it works, but I don't know why it works.
Let's do a reaction video. We talked about doing reaction videos. Let's do a reaction video on like a cut in half CVT transmission and like watching it work and see.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
So for those of you who are still sticking around listening to us
to the blank screen now, it's just our audio at this point. So
we talked about tonight. It's still in the works, maybe, and we'll see what we get done here. But we're thinking about starting a YouTube channel where we react to either music or just cool videos. We may even try to do some like Donut Media videos and stuff, reacting to some of their stuff.
That'd be super fun.
But keep an eye out for that. I'm sure he'll make an announcement, and then I'll make an announcement on my social medias. You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah.
At Chris Bucher. Instagram is Chris Bucher95, and the last name is spelled Bucher.
What is your TikTok handle?
My TikTok handle is Chris Bucher95 as well.
Same spelling, Chris Bucher 95, and that's it. There's no email address or anything. Okay, so and is there like an @ sign on TikTok or anything, or is it just
typically when you go to TikTok and you go into the search bar, would just type in Chris Bucher95, no spaces, and you'll see all of my stupid shenanigans.
Awesome. Man. So if you guys need help with your mechanicking expertise, or if anybody out there is looking for a rhythm guitarist or a bass player guitarist, and I bet the kid can sing as well, fucking get a hold of this guy, man. He's on Facebook, and I think we mentioned the name of your shop earlier, but I won't call any direct attention to it. So if you heard the name of the shop earlier, he definitely works up there, and they do great work.
That's okay. You can come by and say hi. It's Horizon Automotive.
Okay, I wasn't sure. I didn't want to break
3900 South Poplar Street.
So
it's in the Sunrise Shopping Center.
Yeah, at the very bottom of the Sunrise Shopping Center parking lot, that little service station that's down there is Horizon Automotive.
I'm not gonna say no to business.
They're fucking dude. They kill it, man. They know what they're doing up there. They're very, very knowledgeable, and they actually helped me out a lot here in the last month, getting all my shit squared away. So, and honestly, found some things on my car that were previously unknown to me, and they were really cool in working with me, and we got everything figured out in a timely manner. So it's nice, man. So if you guys need any help with that shit, definitely get a hold of him. Check him out on TikTok. He's always on there doing live streams, doing automotive stuff.
I try to post a video once a day at the very least.
Hilarious back and forth conversations with himself being different characters.
God, yeah. I just introduced a new character today named Chevy.
Perfect.
And he is obsessed with, dude, it is fantastic. I'll show you after this.
Yeah, I need to look at it for sure. All right, so thank you guys for listening to this. This, again, is kind of my first introduction back into podcasting since the whole COVID-19 pandemic, and I'm really glad we didn't spend any time talking about that. So for anyone that wants a refresher and something not COVID-related, check out this podcast. I know it's at the very end, but check it out. So, we'll catch you guys on down the road, and that's going to wrap it up for us. So.